Hello, Cooters. I hope you made it here safe and sound in your Cootervilles. Welcome to the Cooterville City Limits. I hope you guys are having a good day. What's up? I cannot stop thinking about tomorrow. I am like, I don't know why. I just feel sick to my stomach about Brian Kohberger's sentencing and how it all is gonna go. Hey, Beans. Hey, Bridget Survey. Tebow, Rain King, RLR, Glenjamin, Butter. Hey, Marching Band. Hey, Forever Army. Nola Katie, good to see you. Bye, you babe. Kira Slater, hello. Hey, Fire. Jay Kells, Audrey D. Sony. Yeah, I'm just a little shooketh about tomorrow. I do have something that was just sent to me. Thank you to Robat. We have a press conference that's going to happen tomorrow, given by the Moscow police, no less. Let me pull this up. So you guys will have to let me know what you think. Do you think we'll get any details? But let me read it to you first before you judge. And if you haven't hit the like button, please do. And this is a live chat reminder. Where the fuck is it? Right here. Okay, so check this out. The City of Moscow, Idaho press release. Wait, hold on. The City of Moscow press release. News conference scheduled following sentencing in Kohberger case. So we're going to have a press conference after the sentencing with the following people. Chief Anthony Dollinger from the Moscow Police Department, Corporal Brett Payne from the Moscow Police Department, Lieutenant Darren Gilbertson from the Idaho State Police, and Prosecutor Bill Thompson from the Latah County Prosecutor's Office. This is going to be held at the Ada County Courthouse approximately 45 minutes after sentencing, and they're letting all media in with their cameras and their equipment. So, yes, I did see that the protection order was extended, which I guess we would expect it to be. Now it's a lifetime protection order, right? What's up, Bex? What's up, Norma? Sharon, Anna on the dark side, Crafting, Tara, Lovey, Mars, Anna Jane. It's Christy, bitch. All right, so hold on. Let me pull that. Why did I close that? So let's read this. After the Kohberger sentencing hearing concludes, a news conference will be held inside the Ada County Courthouse. Media will be permitted to bring cameras and equipment into the designated room. And where's the rest of it? Pretty sure I closed it. Anyways, then it says estimated start time approximately 45 minutes after sentencing concludes. At the Ada County Courthouse, room details will be given on site. Brief remarks followed by a moderated Q&A with Anthony Dollinger, Brett Payne, this lieutenant from the Idaho State Police, and Bill Thompson. And it says, while some case details remain protected by law or court order, the briefing is intended to provide factual insight into the investigation, coordination among agencies, and key developments in the case. Questions regarding sentencing conditions, custody status, or inmate placement should be directed to the Idaho Department of Correction. And then it looks like they've got Anthony Dollinger as the contact here. So, do you guys think that we're going to get excited for nothing? Hey, Robat, thank you for sending me that. I heard that too. So, Toots, I did hear that the Gonsalves family actually, I think all of them met with the prosecutor. I don't know if all of them did today, but I did hear that the Gonsalves family met with them today. And they got more details because they didn't feel like they could write their victim impact statements properly without knowing what the hell happened. You think it's going to be your general presser? Yeah, it usually is, PJ. I hate to say that, but we usually hope for all these wonderful details to come out, and then they never do. The Chapins said they wouldn't be there. They'll be out on their boat celebrating Ethan. I mean, I don't blame them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't blame them for not wanting to be there because, and I'm going to play Olivia Gonsalves' interview with Brian Enton here in a minute.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out my new podcast.
So it was just kind of crazy how Olivia was like, who exactly am I talking to? Because everything's done, right? Well, Brian Kohberger has the right to speak. He can address the court if he so chooses. That's if he so chooses, right? But it's moderated, so it's probably already what's up, workout leggings? Yeah, we're cooters here. Hey, Ragamuffin. I don't know. I kind of get it. Like, right. I thought if they all iced him out, what a message that would send to him. I think that would take the control back from Brian. Like, he just wants the control. You don't think he's going to say shit? I don't know, man. I don't know what to think. Hey, Lorraine. Let's do a poll and see how many of you think that he will actually speak at some point. It starts at 11 a.m. Eastern. So, do you think BK will speak tomorrow? Hey, Big Al, I agree. They said it was moderated, so I'm thinking they already are, like, they're not going to answer anything we don't know. At least I'm not having high hopes. So I just feel like, you know, if it was me, I don't know how I would react, but it would be really hard to stand in front of him because, like, even the other day at Maddie Soto's sentencing, I just thought that nothing about that screamed justice for Maddie to me. And I think that there's so much focus on the defendant's rights. There's so much focus. We can't, you know, do this. We can't do that. And it's just like, the victims get lost in the sauce. And put a 1 in chat if you've seen Olivia Gonsalvez's interview with Brian Enton. She's such an eloquent speaker. She's so smart. Like, that Gonsalves family, they are smart people. They are smart cookies. Hey, Flo. 10 Central, yeah. Did you guys already see it? Oh, wow. A lot of you already saw it. Well, I don't know if you want to play, if you want to hear it again, but you don't think he'll pay any attention to them? Yeah, I didn't like the sentencing. Oh, a lot of you haven't seen it. Okay. I would love to walk through it because she said a lot of things that I think everybody needs to hear. Waiting for you to play it. Okay, let's watch it together. Let me get this Moscow thing off here, but that'll be interesting. We'll stick around, absolutely. I'm expecting tomorrow to be like an all-day event, pretty much. So this is from Brian Enton's channel, but let me share this really quick. I put together a little short. Oh, look at this. Hold on.
Hey guys, so I'm outside the Idaho State Correctional Complex. This is where we believe that Brian Kohberger is going to spend the rest of his life. In this episode, I'm going to take you through everything that I saw inside the maximum security prison here inside the complex. We actually...
Look at that. It's out in the middle of friggin' nowhere.
Hey, Cooter Clippers.
Candace Hardwick, thank you for 8 months. I get all my info from you. If you don't play it, I don't see it. Thank you, Candace. Well, I will keep that in mind because I always think, oh, everybody's already saw that. Aw, you guys are so nice. I guess I didn't realize that. I always thought, like, on my other channel, like, this one I feel more laid back, but on the other one, I always feel like I have to be so, like, straight and to the point and keep moving, you know? I get very uptight. And I'm trying not to do that. But yes, it is at 11 a.m. Eastern.
We got to go in, not to say that, because at this point, you know, he still hasn't been sentenced, and he also has to. And I was with my cameraman and kids. So, the phone booth cage was kind of alarming. It's a to make sure I don't forget anything, but that's because they do the kind of interesting. If they want to, he could be targeted. So 23 hours.
Okay, let's watch
one
this.
Area, but
Here we go.
This is the prison where the you know, the inmates who are the most dangerous, have committed the most dangerous crimes, who need to be in isolation. This is actually where they come.
Thanks, Mama
So I went
J.
in through the front gate. They've got like several different gates you have to go through. And you have to wait in one area, wait for one gate to close, another one opens until you even get to the front door. When I got to the front door, there were metal detectors. So I went through the metal detector. I checked out my watch and obviously my cell phones and everything.
Pink October.
And I was with my cameraman Mo for News Nation. He... Hopefully he wouldn't mind me saying this, but he had contraband actually. He's like has zins, and so they were like, "Oh, this is contraband." So he had to take his zins back to the car.
What's zins?
And so we finally got in. I had to check in my cell phone, so I didn't have my cell phone, and the tour was like 2.5 hours, which was making me kind of neurotic not having my phone. But what I had is I didn't have paper because I always use my phone to take notes, but they gave me a notepad. And I was able to, I'm going to go through these notes now with you guys on this podcast of everything that I saw. So I wrote everything down. My handwriting is terrible, so just bear with me as I kind of go through these. So got through security. The warden met us and we started the tour, walking through the whole facility. The warden has been there for 28 years. It's basically there's 535 people. That's the capacity.
So Brian's going to be in one of these all by himself with just that little window. And then when he comes out, he can just sit at these desks. Oh, nicotine pouches. Whoopsie daisies. Looks nice, Brian.
It's the most severe facility in Idaho. It's where the most dangerous prisoners go. Closed custody, long-term restrictive housing, they call it. Part of it, we went into this one unit where basically the prisoners are in these cells for 23 hours a day. They only get let out 1 hour a day. And this is where Kohberger could end up. And the reason is because not only are people here
23 hours a day. Yikes.
Because they are dangerous and violent, can't be around other prisoners, which I don't really think Kohberger is like that in terms of a prison situation. At least my sources where he's been at other jails have not said that he was like that. But another reason that he would end up there is because he has a target on his back. We believe, we've been told, he's a high profile prisoner. All the other prisoners know who he is. He murdered 4 innocent kids, and he could be targeted. That's the reason that he would end up in a place like this, probably that's totally segregated. So basically these cells you see here, they stay 23 hours inside the cell. They get let out 1 hour a day. You see these chairs. This was kind of interesting. If they want to come out and sit in that chair, they're actually shackled to the chair. And then there were these...
Ooh. That's horrible. So if you want to sit down, you have to be shackled to the damn chair.
Like cages that almost look like...
Well, look how far apart the chairs are. They can't reach one another if they're shackled. But hey, there's always a chance he could be shackled to a chair and get shanked.
You see these chairs. This was kind of interesting. If they want to come out and sit in that chair, they're actually shackled to the chair. And then there were these like cages that almost look like phone booths. Basically, they will sometimes come out and put them in that like cage looking place where they can use a tablet to like do a visitation.
Ooh, that's where they do their visits. So they don't have tablets in the actual cells, I'm assuming. They have to go in this little cage to use a tablet. He's going to go fucking insane.
The whole thing is very sterile.
Hey, Hillbilly Belinda. Good to see you.
While we were there, you can see there's also these bean bags that they put at the bottom of the door. And that's because, that's my notes here. Sorry, I'm going to go through these notes to make sure I don't forget anything. But that's because the prisoners do something called fishing. And we actually caught it on camera. It's where they use a string from a blanket or a t-shirt and they put it under the door. And they try to fish for something, or they try to send notes to another prisoner. And they also just kind of do it out of boredom. And we saw it happening while we were
weird. Ugh. Have fun fishing, Brian.
There, but that's why I specifically asked, like, why do they have these bean bags? And it's to prevent fishing, which that's the name of it. The phone booth cage was kind of alarming. It surprised me though that they all have a tablet. For $100 they can buy a tablet. So even though they're in the cell for tablet, for $100 they can buy a tablet. So even
$100? Why can't we buy fucking tablets for $100? It's bullshit. What's up, Miss Liverbird? Yeah, but he said they can also buy their own, and then they don't have to use the kiosk. So he can sit in his cell with a freaking tablet.
So that they all have a tablet. For $100 they can buy a tablet. So even though they're in the cell for 23 hours a day, they have their tablet where they can email, they can listen to music, they can play games on their tablet, and they have that all the time. And then also they can have a TV. So Brian Kohberger could have a TV. They have to buy it themselves, but they're allowed to have a TV, and they have basic cable. So they...
Wow, basic cable and a tablet. I mean, by the looks of him, It doesn't look like Kohberger spent a whole lot of time outside in the sunlight. He liked to jog at night. He's not going to give a shit. He's got basic cable and a freaking tablet.
And they have that all the time. And then also they can have a TV. So Brian Kohberger could have a TV. They have to buy it themselves, but they're allowed to have a TV, and they have basic cable, so they can watch TV whenever they want, which I don't know why that kind of surprised me. Some people I was telling that to said, oh no, I figured they had TV, but I didn't realize they had it all the time in their cell in some of these areas, and that they could buy their own TV. Visitation. So the visitation mostly in that area would happen on the tablets. There was an area with visitation for some prisoners who aren't in solitary, basically, where they could go and talk to a loved one on like an old style payphone with glass. But I don't think that Brian Kohberger is going to have that opportunity, at least not to begin with. Again, I don't know for sure, but all indications are he's going to end up in this segregated area.
Thank you, Beans.
Probably for fear that someone may actually hurt him. But again, he has to go through this whole evaluation process, and then they'll decide exactly where he ends up. They call it initial classification. That's what I wrote down. And he could, not him, anybody, even someone convicted of a really serious crime could end up in less serious, less secure custody, in something called medium custody. They explained if you have really good behavior in jail, you can still be downgraded to medium custody, even if you are convicted of really, really awful crimes, which I thought was interesting. You know, a lot of what's determined once you're behind bars, where you are, the kind of treatment.
So he could actually be a model prisoner and get moved to the less restrictive area. And we all know he was no problem in jail. Oh, I think this is going to infuriate us, because I think he's going to be on his best behavior, and he's probably going to eventually move his way down, if you will.
And you get the privileges
The master manipulator should never, ever be able to be moved about. Do you know what I mean? He should be treated like he's in the fucking Supermax.
Yet it's not based on the crimes that you committed. It's based on how you've behaved once behind bars.
See? Your crime doesn't matter. It's how you behave in there. So, like, when he gets in there, hi, Ishi. When he gets in there, he gets a clean slate. He gets a clean motherfucking slate in the prison system's eyes. And I think that he's manipulative enough to be Brian Kiss-Ass Kohberger. And I think that he is going to be able to work his way to more privileges. I really do. Ugh. I don't like it, but I just feel like, I don't know. I don't think you want that guy to be in, I don't know. I wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't trust him at all.
Which is, again, something that I didn't fully know. No one gets placed places based on crime.
Wow.
And
I didn't know that either.
Many of them will only stay, these prisoners will only stay in the fully restrictive custody for a year. Death row, by the way, is also at the same facility, and all the death row inmates are kept together in the same area. We didn't see them today. They get to go outside for 1 hour a day. In this video, this is the area outside where they go. Again, very basic. The ones that are extremely violent have to stay in these cages that you see right here. They can't even just be outside free. They have to be in the cages the whole time. They don't get to just walk around outside. There hasn't been an escape, by the way. I asked that while we were outside there. There hasn't been an escape since 1991, and I'm not even sure you would classify it as escape. It was someone in this area who, I guess they had different chain link fence then, and climbed out the top, but didn't make it very far.
See, that's what I would be worried about with this mofo. I wonder if he, I was
told,
Brian knew what he was doing. He researched this, right? Just in case he went to prison. Don't you think he researched their systems? I mean, why go over the Idaho state line to kill? You know? It's tomorrow, Lindsay, at 11 a.m. Eastern, and I'm sick to my stomach. I can't sleep. I'm worried about it. I'm sick about it, so I'm here. Hey, kids. Hey, Criminal Med. Everybody come on in and close your legs. Do I think his parents will move? No, I don't. I don't. Yeah, I think he planned for years. Oh, could you imagine if he escaped? Oh. Remember, like Ted Bundy escaped in Colorado and went and killed more people. Oh, is she? I was so disgusted yesterday, too. So disappointed. So disappointed in Florida. You know, they came in big and bad, passing that law about the death penalty, thinking, God, if anybody deserves the death penalty for hurting a child, the Madeline Soto case will be the precedent. I am streaming it. Hillbilly Belinda. Whenever I see your name, I always think of that song Clue plays all the time. Hillbilly, 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 hill. I think it's Ryan Upchurch. I was really disappointed on that. Oh, Mrs. O, me too. He isn't escaping. This isn't Bundy. Okay, let's keep watching. He won't be in a cage. Well, yeah, he'll be in a cage yard. Here's the picture again. This is it here. Where'd it go?
They could go and talk to a lover is going to have that opportunity in the segregated area, probably for fear that someone may actually hurt him. But again, he has to go through this whole evaluation process, and then they'll decide exactly where he ends up. They call it initial classification. That's what I wrote down. And he could, not him, anybody, even someone convicted of a really serious crime could end up in less serious, less secure custody, in something called medium custody. They explained if you have really good behavior in jail, you can still be downgraded to medium custody, even if you are convicted of really, really awful crimes, which I thought was interesting. You know, a lot of what's determined once you're behind bars, where you are, the kind of treatment you get, the privileges you get, it's not based on the crimes that you committed. It's based on how you've behaved once behind bars, which is again something that I didn't fully know. No one gets placed places based on crime, and many of them will only stay. These prisoners will only stay in the fully restrictive custody for a year. Death row, by the way, is also at the same facility, and all the death row inmates are kept together in the same area. We didn't see them today. They get to go outside for 1 hour a day. In this video, this is the area outside where they go. Again, very basic. The ones that are extremely violent have to stay in these.
I guess those are
cages.
basketball hoops right there. I guess that's a basketball hoop.
The ones that are extremely violent have to stay in these cages that you see right here. They can't even just be.
Okay, so the violent ones have to stay in the cages, and the other ones can be in that more open area.
Outside free. They have to be in the cages the whole time. They don't get to just walk around outside. There hasn't been an escape, by the way. I asked that while we were outside there. There hasn't been an escape since 1991, and I'm not even sure you would classify it as escape. It was someone in this area who I guess they had different chain link fence then and climbed out the top, but didn't make it very far, I was told, before being picked up, like really just out here in the desert. Didn't even really get off the prison property. So
I think so, Luke.
yeah, so the outside area is very, very basic. I explained that they can buy the tablet. They have basic cable. They can even get a hot pot in some instances. They can buy groceries through the commissary.
Hot pot?
And bring them. They can buy groceries and bring them into their cell. They can have a hot pot. That's all things.
What the hell's a hot pot? What's a hot pot? Like a pressure cooker? What is that?
Shake, shake, shake.
What the fuck is a hot pot? Thank you, Pretty Hate Machine. Expectations low for tomorrow, but we'll get trickling info for a while. Yeah, I'm not really holding my breath either, Pretty Hate Machine. Thank you for your super chat, by the way. And thanks for joining tonight's discussion. Oh, I just realized one of my charms fell off my necklace. Sorry, I was like, where'd it go? Damn it, that was my mom's. Um, like a crock pot to boil water. Oh, hot pot. I want to see what it looks like because I'm stupid. I don't know what a hot pot prison. Let's see. Oh, like a kettle. It's a kettle. That's what I would call it. A freaking kettle. So he can make ramens and coffee. He gets a tablet for if he has $100. Sounds like a scent melter. Hot pot.
That I didn't really realize was necessarily allowed. No conjugal visits, by the way. I actually asked about that. Maybe that was a crazy question to ask, but
No, thank you for asking because I wanted to know if he could ever get conjugal visits.
guess you see it in the movies or whatever, but there are no conjugal visits allowed in Idaho. So that's not an option. There is a library and a computer lab. And, you know, prisoners who are on good behavior can spend time there. So that could be a possibility for Brian Kohberger. It's kind of interesting while we were there.
So he's got access to a library and a computer lab. So what's going to stop this guy from, I mean, I'm just saying, thank you, Robat, for posting that. What's going to stop this dude from effing with the computers in the prison? I mean, is there a chance that he could be smarter than the prison IT? Do you think that he could F with the computers? Ooh, Kathy D. Anything he doesn't know? I don't know. Well, I think he has to pay for emails and stuff, Cheesy, for sure. Cock-a-doodle-doo. I see you. They lock it down tight. I don't know. I don't trust that dude. I really don't. Jailbreak. That's where the term comes from. Yes, he's a computer nerd. Remember, his motherboard was like out of the computer and everything. He's not a dummy. I'm not writing him, Elizabeth. Fuck that. I have no interest in writing him. There's locks. The software aren't accessible. I hope not. JPay is the system they use. On email, it's usually 50 cents for an email and a return. He's going to have a lot of money put in his accounts. Mm-hmm. Katie, I agree. They're sealed in acrylic. No, I'm saying like, I don't know. Chat GPT. I do. I hope so too, Daddy's baby girl. I don't understand why the judge let Stearns plead no contest. I'm watching a lawyer who said that's unheard of on a murder case. I don't know. The lawyer for Maddie's dad didn't seem surprised. She actually said, yeah, but he never thought they'd look at his Amazon. Because if he wouldn't have left that sheath, I don't think he would have ever been caught. Do you guys think he would have been caught? What would have got him? I know a guy who gets his people to sell drugs and send him money while he's in prison. Really? Hmm. I just think that if that sheath wasn't left, he wouldn't have got caught. I don't I don't understand the Stearns deal at all either. All I can say is that it led them to more pedos. Absolutely daddy's baby girl, for sure. 100%. And I want to get the stuff from PA as well. I just really don't think he would have gotten caught. They never thought that they would be looking at the Amazon account. Because I don't think he planned on that. I just don't know how he would have gotten caught because they didn't get him. Okay, so this is what but the car eventually got him. But listen, I don't think it was either, Big Al. Big Al, do you think that there's going to be more charges, or do you just think that he hasn't been linked? Okay, but listen. So when they first were looking for the car, they said the wrong years. Remember? In the WSU, we just found out that the WSU Pullman, whatever cops were driving through his apartment and said, oh, here's a white Elantra. Oh, but it's not the right year. It's a 2015. And they didn't report it because it wasn't the right year. And you say he was in proximity of the Wi-Fi. How many people were in proximity of the Wi-Fi? Probably a lot. That was the main party house. You know what I mean? I know, me too, Nikki. I'm here for it. Kelsey, yeah, that's for Latah County. Latah is doing that. But you still have other agencies. You have Idaho State Police that were involved. You have Pennsylvania State Police that were involved. You have Pullman or WSU records. I don't know. I don't know if he would have gotten caught. The lawyer prosecutor in Sarasota thinks Jen will be charged with aggravated child abuse. What are they waiting for? What are they waiting for? And I have another question, Joe. Now that you're talking about the DoorDash driver, how did she park next to Brian if what she said in the body cam is true? Yeah, let's not talk about him being innocent because no innocent guy pleads guilty. Oh, maybe it is, Kelsey. I hope it is, but I don't know if they're going to put the PA stuff on there. Here's the thing, Jay. Every device that his device is connected to are in a log file. Televisions, cars, refrigerators, anything with Wi-Fi. So if they really looked at the digital footprints. True. But by the time they knew about Kohberger in December, would it have been too late to get all of those digital footprints, if you will, from other... I don't know. But why would she park in the back to drop off food? Why would she go in the back? Alicia, I'm with you. We need to watch the police cam. I don't think she said parked.
Thank you for your support.
Welcome to Cooterville, April. Come on in and close your legs. I don't think she said parked, and there's quite a bit of on Monroe County court docs that aren't redacted. Oh, is there? I'll have to look. I haven't even looked because I didn't think there'd be anything. But you know what I want? You know what I want from PA? I wonder if we can get the you know, the, what do you call that? Like the police car camera, the dash cam or whatever. You know, when they're in the cop car. What do you call that? I don't know what that's called. I've never had to do that. Pulled next to briefly in passing. But where? Yeah, Big Al, let's do it. I would love to. I would have done an open panel tonight, but I have to like set it up through that software or my computer gets bogged down. Let's do it though. There'll be a lot to talk about. Dash cam. Okay, so remember they said after he was arrested, he was in the back of the cop car and he asked the cop to go for coffee when this was all over. I want to hear that. And then they said that he spoke with investigators for like 15 minutes before he said he wanted a lawyer. I want to know what he said. Like, I wonder if he was sitting there cocky with his legs crossed. Like, who says, let's go get coffee? Like, hey, you just busted down my doors and windows of my parents' house. I was sitting there with gloves on in the dark in the kitchen, bagging up my garbage into Ziploc baggies like a weirdo. But hey, let's go get coffee. Thank you, Daddy's baby girl. Yeah, like, oh, let's go get coffee when this is all done. Nice, Big Al. I'd love to talk to you about that. He was coming down the hill as the DoorDash driver was in the driveway. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, Cricket. Oh, wait a minute. Listen. Remember the damn tire tracks in the road? Was she like backing out of the driveway when he was coming in? Oh yeah, did you arrest anyone else? We don't know for a fact that he said that yet, do we? Because she would have pulled into the front, I would think. Why would she go around to the back? Here, I'm going to show you guys a video. Hold on. Anjanette Levy has been putting out some pretty good coverage. She has some videos from when she was there. I want to show you this one in particular.
To David.
We're going to mute her, but I want to show you. She goes up this. Oh, it has been confirmed? Okay. She said he was looking at Xana in the window? Who said that? This is wild. The tracks were there before? Yeah, I don't know. They were out there. I mean, there's pictures of them. Hold on.
Hanging around. But
measuring those.
Here you go. Here is the King Road house now. The windows are boarded up, as you can see. Okay, but somebody, security company's vehicle was parked here with her. They're flowers.
Hold on.
Daughters. You don't hold a count. I don't know if I posted this video.
Okay, here we go.
This driveway.
This is the driveway. She's going up the driveway. Brian Enton said it was confirmed. Brian asked if anyone else was arrested. Tay. Okay, that's a good question because the guy in Pullman who interviewed him, Chief Jenkins, he actually said when they went into the apartment, they said it did not look like, he said it did not look like he was going to return. No, he was fired before he was arrested. He had already lost his job. Okay, so here is the hold on. Let me make this bigger. Okay, so here's the driveway going up to that back parking lot.
Is not for the King Road house. This driveway goes up to the parking lot for the apartment complex next door, 500
So why
Queen
in the
Road.
world would DoorDash go all the way up here and then walk down a little embankment to deliver food? You would think she'd just pull right in the front and drop it right at the door where the address is, where the wreath is on the door, where the light is on. I mean, it doesn't make
one
sense
thing
to
that
me.
really struck me, and it's something I kind of think is probable.
This is
based
creepy
on
here.
How these events they believe unfolded. So here's the parking lot. And you may have seen this other places, but I'll just show you. This is what struck me. Keep in mind, when I was here in January and December, it was wintertime, right? No leaves on some of the trees. So a lot of this was not here.
See, why would she go up? Why would she go here
So
to drop
a
off
lot of
food
this
at
was-
night? I mean, look at that. I just don't think she would deliver food from here. Unless there was specific directions, but I just doubt it. I don't know why.
Not here, like this bush.
But see these parking spots right here? I never really understood the angle until I saw this video. I did not. Maybe I just didn't see the right videos while I was covering this, but I never understood the back parking lot until I watched this.
Thing, it was not. I could probably get the video and show it to you. But the thing that struck me was that window right.
Look at that. You could park right in one of those spots and look right at Maddie's room. Right in her window. The guy who took his own life, that was an army vet who had PTSD, who was suffering from an episode. It may have been the openly open parking spots. But look at that. You could just sit there and watch.
There, that was Maddie's bedroom, the one closest to the driveway. So when I was here in January and November, I thought to myself, gosh, anybody could drive
Yeah, she's
up
going to
here
show
if
the
they
snow.
wanted to.
Watch.
And keep in mind, that tree, this was a little different in November and January. It's spring now. It's different in...
Look at that. Outside looking. And they always had lights on.
in November and January. It's spring now. It's 6 months later. December and January. You could get a bird's eye view into Maddie's room. Okay? So as you can see right here, this is video of Maddie Mogen's bedroom window. You can see her pink cowboy boots there, and you can see the letter M. The snow is blocking it a little bit, but it's almost like M marks the spot. And from...
Isn't that creepy? Especially in the winter time. We got a lot of pro-burgers in here tonight. Guys, he pled guilty. Why on earth would an innocent man plead guilty? Right, lights on the inside means they can't see shit outside. It's like having a mirror on your window.
That area in the parking lot at the Queen Road apartment building, you could
Yeah, but it's strange if you think about him sitting here watching her.
See directly into Maddie's bedroom, clear as day if you were parked there. So there was, when I was here before, there was a pink pair of cowboy boots in the window.
You're welcome,
There was also
Wolf.
a pink M. So basically, you knew that was Maddie's bedroom. So according to the probable cause affidavit, one of the surviving roommates heard some noise upstairs above her, and she thought it was the dog. She thought it was Kaylee playing with the dog. Kaylee really wasn't living here at the time. She had come back for the weekend. She had already kind of moved out because she was preparing to graduate. So that was Maddie's room. Kaylee's was...
So is that little window next to Maddie's window where the stairs are? Is there like a window in the stairwell?
around the deck a little more. So I can post a video showing you what it looked like in the wintertime here. So there's this sound, right? Of like, she thinks it's a dog, Kaylee playing with her dog. It's 4 o'clock, a little later in the morning. Obviously, whoever killed these girls, Maddie and Kaylee, went to Maddie's room first. So it kind of makes me think or wonder, was Maddie somehow, and I don't know this, but was she the target? Was she the person, the intent?
Do you guys think Maddie was the target? The bathroom? There is a bathroom, but I thought it was on the other side of Maddie's room. I know, Kelsey, it's wild. Hold on, let me... Remember watching all these things just randomly happening and wondering what the fuck, like, for example, what were they doing here, you know? What are they doing here by the foundation? What is she just fingerprinting all the windows? I have a whole file of photos. You know, and someone else said too, like, oh God, I don't want to go to TikTok. But someone had said something about, you know, the garbage. And I had always talked about that garbage being in the back. And it doesn't look like they took it. I found that weird. But let's get into Olivia Gonsalves's latest interview with Brian Enton. That's what I thought, Pickle, that was in the... Oh, another thing I want to watch first. Hold on a second. Let me find it. Give me 1 second. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, this I want to watch with you guys because I've seen other people play it, but I want to watch it with y'all first, and then we'll watch the interview. This is Asget Industries, and she's the one that did the reenactment for Dateline of the home and what happened.
Hi guys, since Brian Kohberger pled guilty today.
What about the oversized black jacket? So she wore someone else's coat because she was cold. Why does everyone think that that's something? That's so weird to me. Hello, Auntie Cheryl. I think that if he went directly upstairs, it had to have been Maddie. Yeah, I don't think... Why didn't the guy who reported it talk about all the blood? I think he was in shock. And he didn't want to freak everybody out. I don't know. You don't know what your reaction would be. But I did read that Hunter Johnson didn't speak for 24 hours after what he saw. So maybe that's why. Jay, what would be your top 3 questions for Bill Thompson if he said he would answer anything? Was Brian Kohberger Papa Rogers? That'd be one of my questions. I don't know what I would ask Bill Thompson. That's a good question. What would you guys ask? Joe, the new info on the gag on Kaylee made me think she was a target. I think that Kaylee was less intoxicated and fought. And I think he put his hand on her face. That's what I think. Because it wouldn't necessarily have to be a gag. It could have been his hand, and this is graphic, but pushing down on her mouth. I would need to know more. You know what I mean? Like, Steve heard there were gag marks from Mabbitt. Steve hasn't even seen the autopsy. I don't know you can say, Pickle, that BK's not Papa Roger, because I do believe he's Papa Roger. He disappeared after the arrest and popped back on, and then the whole footprint disappeared. So I don't know. I don't know how a spreadsheet can prove he's not Papa Roger. You know what I mean? I don't understand that. Explain. I mean, we can't state for fact anything. Mods, did you get that comment? I just want to make sure. Do they even know where he went first? Yeah, because of the noise Dylan heard, right? Yeah, I don't know why he hasn't seen the autopsy report. I think that's weird to me. He didn't even know how many times his daughter was stabbed. Not if he had gloves on, B. What do you think we're going to hear now that the gag order is off? I don't know. I don't know how far they went in their investigation. I don't know if they investigate. Like, a lot of that is going to be the FBI. I think we're going to be disappointed. And I think we're going to be disappointed because the FBI did a separate investigation from Moscow. The FBI was doing their own investigation and literally called Brett Payne and said, hey, here's a tip for you, Brian Kohberger. So really, what did Brett Payne have to do? If you think about it, what are we really going to get when the FBI is the one that found him? We're not going to get the FBI's records. Good luck. You know what I'm saying? They didn't even hear the name Brian Kohberger until what? The 19th of December? We won't see FBI stuff. So who knows? I think, the Pennsylvania stuff will be interesting if we can get that. But, we're not going to get any footage from when they broke down the doors or the windows. The FBI is going to be nil. So I think we might be disappointed. Because if you think about it, remember they were, Idaho had sent the DNA to Othram Labs, right? So Othram Labs was working on, getting a family tree, and they couldn't. They could only get so far. And then the brothers that they got from the DNA wouldn't cooperate. Remember, there was like 2 brothers, and they were like, nope, we're not helping you. So then the FBI yanked that DNA from Othram and tested it themselves. Right, and the FBI never gives away their tactics or anything that they do, right? And I don't think they'll ever be forced to say anything. So the question is, though, will we get pictures of everything that was taken out of Brian's room? The book that's underlined page 118. Will we see what was in his notebooks? Will we, what else? The note to Dad from Brian. Will we see what that is? Because if you think about it, we're not going to get anything from the FBI, just like we didn't in the Petito case. Nada. Zilch. Nothing. The only reason we found out about things was because the Petitos sued civilly and got depositions out of the Laundries. Oh, 4 brothers. No, I mean, the FBI is not even going to speak. They don't do that. What was page 118 again? It was, oh yeah, the licenses, the IDs. He had a book with page 118 underlined. We speculate that it could be the manifesto, but they said it was a book. Okay, let's watch this reenactment and then let's discuss.
I feel like we released this full illustration of the Idaho 4 crimes, showing Kohberger's movements. It's put together by evidence given to me by media companies like Netflix and others, including more recently Dateline, who hired me to do their 3D modeling for their project. I'm going to include a lot of information into this episode where you can see exactly what took place from moment to moment. Let's get started.
Oh, you know what else there is?
In this illustration, we're going to start at 3:30 a.m.
Okay, hold on. Before we get into this, remember there was also note from Brian from Montana or some shit? Remember that? That was also collected in PA. Okay, so she's starting this out at 3:30. Here we go.
At this time, everyone is asleep except for Xana. Looking inside the home, we can see where everybody was. Starting at the 3rd floor, we can see where Maddie and Kaylee were sleeping. Maddie was sleeping on the edge of the bed, while Kaylee was sleeping near the wall. As we go out and drop down to the 2nd floor, we can see Dylan's room directly under Maddie's room. Continuing across the living room onto the other side of the home, we see Xana's room. She's sitting in bed scrolling on her phone while Ethan sleeps next to her. Minutes ago, she had just finished ordering DoorDash and has all the lights on while she waits. The last roommate to mention is Beth, whose room is on the 1st floor, directly below the living room. As most of them all sleep, Kohberger pulls into the neighborhood for the first time this night at precisely 3:30 a.m. We know this due to a home security camera that captures the intersection and records the coming and going of anybody that enters that neighborhood. As we continue, Kohberger drives past the home and notices that all the lights on the 2nd floor are still on. He drives on and loops around the apartment complex building.
So when he whipped around here, I know this video's great. I mean, I can't imagine like using anything else to talk about what happened that night. If he drove around these apartments back here, did they not have cameras back here? If we're assuming he drove and looped around.
Because of the home security timestamp, we're able to know how long it took to drive this path. On his first pass, it took him 2 minutes and 38 seconds, and this is him leaving on the first pass. Now let's look at his next 2 passes and record the times. This is pass 2 of him entering and leaving. And now this is pass 3 of him entering and leaving.
Okay, so he's pulling in at 3:56. And then he's leaving at 3:58. She dropped the food right at 4 o'clock on the nose. I thought it was at like right at 4 o'clock that the food was dropped off. So if he's exiting at 3:58 in 23 seconds, how did he run into the DoorDash driver? I'm so confused. Trip, you're probably right. If that camera caught Brian, did it also get Molly the door? Yeah, it should have, right? But she times it. So she figures that he did drive around that loop because of the timing. So listen.
This is pass 2 of him entering and leaving. And now this is pass 3 of him entering and leaving. When we do the math, we can see how long he took each pass. The last 2 passes were normal without any stopping, but on his first pass, he took an additional 42 seconds to creep by the house or even stop for a time to stare into the windows with the lights on. All this information has been coming from camera A, but there is a second camera located behind the apartment complex building, and we're going to call that camera B, located
Okay, so there is a camera back here.
This camera allows us to see how long it took to get from point A.
Oh, this is the Linda Lane video. The Linda Lane, see now, I never really understood this before. The Linda Lane captures him looping around those buildings.
A to point B, and between the 3 security cameras' data, it took between 35 and 37 seconds. What this means is you didn't stop or park somewhere or go into a different direction. He simply drove straight from point A to point B at regular speed. These times help us understand the DoorDash delivery window. According to court documents, 2 times are noted. One is 3:59 a.m. and the other is 4 a.m.
See, and she's got the DoorDash driver at the front. DoorDash, 3:59.
2 times are noted. One is 3:59 a.m. and the other is 4 a.m. Bringing back our passage chart, we can see that the DoorDash time of 3:59 happens after Kohberger has left the neighborhood and before he returns for his last pass at 4:04.
So she just barely missed him? Now I'm really confused. It sounds to me like they freaking just missed each other. I think there was some kind of body cam where her fiance says that there's a dash cam. Everyone has a video of her delivering the DoorDash? From where? Hold on. I've never seen a video of the DoorDash driver delivering the DoorDash. Who has that? Well, she says there's 2 times noted for the DoorDash. 3:59 and 4 o'clock. I've never seen video of the DoorDash driver actually dropping their food off. Who would even have that? Who would have been recording that? Yeah, I don't think so. No, I've DoorDashed before and I don't have a dash cam. You don't have to have a dash cam. You can just use your regular old vehicle with no cameras. Some channel? Really? I've never even heard that that existed. Okay, here we go. So she's dropping the food off allegedly after he's left the neighborhood, according to the timestamps.
These times help us understand the DoorDash delivery window. According to court documents, 2 times are noted. One is 3:59 a.m. and the other is 4 a.m. Bringing back our passage chart, we can see that the DoorDash time of 3:59 happens after Kohberger has left the neighborhood and before he returns for his last pass at 4:04. It is possible that the DoorDash driver saw Kohberger as he was parking his car, because a timestamp of 3:59 could be reflected when he took the photo of the food at the front door instead of the time he arrived. So it is possible he witnessed Kohberger staring at the windows as he drove by. Continuing, as the driver leaves...
Okay, so I'm confused by that.
3:59, so that the DoorDash driver saw Kohberger as he was parking his car, because a timestamp of 3:59 could be reflected when he took the photo of the food at the front door.
Jesus, that's like so tight.
And before he returns for his last pass at 4:04.
So he leaves at 3:58:27, and she's got a timestamp of 3:59. Darzilla, I mean, I hope that's in evidence, right?
Passage chart, we can see that the DoorDash time of 3:59 happens after Kohberger has left the neighborhood and before he returns for his last pass at 4:04.
Yeah, because he doesn't even come back. Look it. She drops off the food at 3:59. He doesn't even come back until 4:04. So he stays gone for another 4 minutes.
It is possible that the DoorDash driver saw Kohberger as he was parking his car, because a timestamp of 3:59 could be reflected when he took the photo of the food at the front door instead of the time he arrived. So it is possible he witnessed Kohberger staring at the windows as he drove by.
What if she's not the DoorDash driver after all? What if she was lying? And we all thought it was her.
Continuing, as the driver leaves, Xena turns off all the lights, sits on her bed, and scrolls on her phone as she eats her food. A few minutes later, Kohberger enters the neighborhood for the last time. But this...
See, she's long gone. It's been 4 minutes. What would she get on her dash cam if he wasn't even in the neighborhood? See, that doesn't make sense to me. I need to know. That would be my second question for Bill Thompson. What about the DoorDash driver?
Time, as he drives by the home, he sees all the lights are off. At the camera B location, he turns around to head back to the residence as shown in this video. When he returns to the front of the house, he does something unusual.
But where do you get that from, Pickle? Allegedly, she saw Xana in the window. They both noticed the car creeping. Focus on the house. Where did you get that from? Where is this coming from? Jay, I'd be curious to know how many in chat have in their lifetime been in the same room with a murderer and didn't know it till later when they were caught. I have been. He was an attorney, killed wife. Oof. She could have been lying. I mean, the initials do match. I mean, I don't know. It's weird, man.
When he returns to the front of the house, he does something unusual, so much so that it's noted in the arrest affidavit.
See, and that is where they were investigating, right here.
So much so that it's noted in the arrest affidavit.
This is where they were investigating in the road, where his car was. You don't think she is the Dee Dee? I don't know where this is coming from. You saw BTK at a church thing? Oof. But this is where they were measuring like tire marks in the road here, remember?
On page 6, it states, when the suspect vehicle 1 is in front of Kings Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. It goes on to say that he continued onto the intersection where he did a 3-point turn. This 3-point turn was captured on camera A, which has a timestamp of 4:06.
I think she's just saying he because she's going off court documents which just say the DoorDash driver is MM. Right? We haven't been told matter of factly that it's a male or a female. Right? So she's just saying he as just a reference.
This 3-point turn was captured on camera A, which has a timestamp of 4:06. He appears to be calm and not overly anxious with his driving. As he heads back in the direction of the residence, he takes one last look at the windows to make sure all the lights are off. As he begins to drive around the end of the apartment complex, camera B records the time of 4:07. Fast forwarding a little bit, Kohberger drives to the back parking lot away from other residences. He takes a few minutes looking around and sees that nobody's out and that all is quiet. He eventually grabs his things, gets out of the vehicle, and begins walking to the back of the home. At approximately 4:13 a.m., he begins to make entry. As he steps in, he takes a minute to make sure everything is quiet and that nobody is truly up. He walks to the entrance of the living room and looks around. He continues to be cautious and stands there listening.
So she's just kind of throwing that in there, that is maybe what he did. We don't know for sure.
Feeling confident, he continues upstairs.
Oh, there's that window. Remember we said? It's in the stairwell. Aw, thanks, Sammy. Thanks for listening tonight.
He makes his way to Maddie's room.
Thanks, Grammy. I haven't seen it either. This is creepy as hell.
The time is about 4:14. Meanwhile, 2 minutes later, Xana takes a break from TikTok and walks into the kitchen. Evidence shows her activity on the app stopped at 4:16. As she enters the kitchen, she's a little shocked to see the sliding glass door wide open. And at the same time, she hears a serious commotion going on upstairs.
So, why was she walking into the kitchen? Hang on.
He makes his way to Maddie's room. The time is about 4:14.
So she's already got her food. So where do we think Xana ate her food? In her room?
Meanwhile, 2 minutes later, Xana takes a break from TikTok and walks into the kitchen. Evidence shows her activity on the app stopped at 4:16.
Oh, I wonder if she was taking the bag into the kitchen and just set it in the kitchen. You know what I mean? I wonder if she got her food, went in her room, ate it, was playing on TikTok, and then went to go put her bag in the kitchen. The bag was in the kitchen, right by the sink. If he was making sure the lights were off, wouldn't he be worried when he saw the DoorDash? I don't think he saw DoorDash. That's what I was thinking. If someone just got an order, someone's up. Yeah, there's a picture of it on the counter with her name on it.
Takes a break from TikTok and walks into the kitchen. Evidence shows her activity on the app stopped at 4:16. As she enters the kitchen, she's a little shocked to see the sliding glass door wide open. And at the same time, she hears a serious commotion going on upstairs. Hey everyone, I don't usually ask. I'd like to help out and then drop a hash thank you. Santa's phone recorded steps and elevation change, which is how off. Truly means the world to me. Thank you. Picking up where we left off. A source revealed that Santa's phone recorded steps and elevation change.
There we go. It's just like in the Murdoch case, right? With all of the details on the phone. So she must have still had her phone in her hand. And she ran upstairs with it. Yeah, I don't know how anybody would see Xana from the back of the house. Her room was on the other side. That doesn't even make sense.
Picking up where we left off. A source revealed that Santa's phone recorded steps and elevation change.
That's how they know she went upstairs. Her watch. Wow. Her watch. So that's how they knew that she went upstairs to see what was going on, and BK saw her. Wow.
We left off. A source revealed that Santa's phone recorded steps and elevation change, which is how it's known she went to the kitchen and the third floor. When she walked up to Maddie's doorway, she interrupted Kohberger, who had just finished an intense battle with Kaylee, who...
Oh my God. Look at that. 4:17 approximately. She's coming up, makes eyes with this motherfucker. Who said there's someone here? That's what I want to know.
fought back violently. After a second or two, he notices her, and then she turns away. Being dark, Xana didn't realize what she...
Nope, I bet you that's when she said, right here when she's running down, there's someone here. That's what Dylan heard. See her running down the steps right by Dylan's door. See her running down? There's somebody here.
She was seeing other than a shadowy figure. Out of fear, she quickly leaves. A single source, unaffiliated with the media, claims Kohberger injured Xana on the third floor hallway, leaving evidence of blood there. But the...
Oh, did you hear that?
The single source of information has not been validated by any more sources.
Okay, so they got into they started the fight upstairs or in the stairwell. How fucking, this is something straight out of a horror movie. Literally, something straight out of a horror movie. Kiwi, thank you for 4 months of cootership. It gives me chicken skin, scary as hell.
With the media, claims Kohberger injured Xana on the third-floor hallway, leaving evidence of blood there. But this single source of information has not been validated by any more sources. Continuing, Kohberger, without thinking, pursues her all the way to her room.
I wonder if this is when he said, "Don't worry, I'm going to help you." Right? Don't worry. She's crying, right? She's crying. Dylan said she heard crying and then heard a man say, "Don't worry, I'm going to help you." And probably got her in the room. And that was where everything happened. This is horrible.
Continuing, Kohberger, without thinking, pursues her all the way to her room, not realizing he had dropped the sheath of his knife.
Like maybe he didn't want her to scream, so he said, "Don't worry, I'm going to help you."
When he gets to the room, he attacks Xana, and the time is precisely 4:17:30. We know this because of camera A captured the sound of screaming and the thud. After attacking Xana, Kohberger focuses his attention on Ethan and attacks him while he slept. Afterwards, Kohberger must have sat down in a chair according to a report, which found blood smears on Xana's chair, perhaps from the exhaustion of what he had just done. This source also says that blood from the 2 roommates upstairs were found in Xana's room, showing that it was one person moving from one room to another.
See? The blood was mixed. The victims upstairs, their blood was mixed in Xana's room. Yeah, Ethan never woke up. And we heard that he was stabbed in the buttocks. And his mother said the buttocks and the carotid artery. Right, Sarah Luna? He was probably thinking, shit, who all is in here? And didn't want her to scream, "Don't worry, I'm going to help you." It always happens, though, Big Al, especially with, Dateline shows and shit like that. There's always the sources close to the investigation. There's always someone talking. I wonder if he woke up. It doesn't seem like it because he was still... She's got this where he's laying face up, but his mom said that he was facing the wall. Hey, Texas Ranger. Ethan was very, very intoxicated. So I think he was on his side facing the wall.
Kohberger sitting down was for less than 30 seconds. As he gets up to leave, Dylan, hearing the commotion from Xana's room, gets up out of bed and goes to her door to look out into the hallway. She freezes and sees Kohberger as he walks by and exits through the kitchen. She immediately closes and locks her door and retreats to her bed. Within 20 seconds of the encounter, she's calling and texting her roommates, but no one is responding. It takes Kohberger a minute and a half to get to his vehicle after the encounter with Dylan. But once in his car, he flees the scene at a high rate of speed and exits the neighborhood at 4:20. Dylan continues trying to reach someone in the house. And after 3 minutes of trying, Bethany wakes up and responds to the calls. They converse for 3 minutes and then Beth convinces Dylan to come downstairs. The time is now 4:26 a.m. Cautiously, Dylan walks into the hallway and through the living room. As she approaches the staircase, she can see into Xana's room and sees her laying on the floor. She then runs quickly downstairs to Beth's room, where they lock the door, and for several hours continuously tried contacting the other roommates. Back to when Kohberger left the neighborhood, he drove a particular route that would exit onto a road that leads straight to Washington state line. And about that same time that Dylan runs to Beth's room,
That could
Kohberger
be
is
Pickle.
entering Washington state. This is all part of Kohberger's pre-planning, including finding a place to stop and get rid of any evidence. This place here fits that planning. This area here, pointed out by the arrow, is a little group of trees with a small area that you can park.
This is interesting, considering that she worked with Dateline and got all the information from whoever had it. Ooh, Emmy. That could be too. I mean, I don't know. I think you never think like, oh, my roommates were just stabbed to death. Right? You want to think, oh, they're just passed out. I don't know. The dog is upstairs in Kaylee's room. So I don't know where she got this location, but check this out.
Car on. This is what it looks like from the road. At 4:30 in the morning, while changing clothes and getting cleaned up at this location, one could feel completely safe while being able to see the headlights of a car coming from miles away. As this pivots around, you can see how this is out in the middle of nowhere, and a pre-dug hole near some of these trees would hide forever any evidence that Kohberger was trying to get rid of. It's important to remember that Kohberger was studying criminal behavior and the legal system. This would have motivated him to plan things to the smallest of details, like plastic on the seats to conceal DNA, or crossing state lines because the jurisdiction of one area.
See how she has this one spot? I don't know. I think she definitely knew something bad happened, but couldn't process it. I mean, a 19-year-old. And it sounds like she was always an overreactor. So that's why Emily said she kind of joked, like, you know, that they'd have to do that every now and then for her. All the bedroom doors were open. I didn't see that in any court documents. I would need to see that. I don't remember that. Yeah, Xana fell straight back, they said. And that her fingers were nearly severed off. Will we ever know, Laura? That's a good question.
Would take hours to get assistance from the other. He's also smart enough to know that this 10-minute stop would likely never be on the radar of the authorities, especially after he crosses back into Idaho and then turns his phone back on.
Right?
Let's pick back up where we left off at his 10-minute stop. He continues on with his plan,
Hey, Dina.
knowing that he's completely cleaned up and that there's no evidence to tie him to any of the crime if he were pulled over at this point. After getting on Highway 95 and turning south, he turns his phone back on at 4:48 a.m. This section of Kohberger's travels comes from his cell phone data extraction. Let's orientate ourselves onto this map and get a better understanding of the timing. Kohberger leaves Kings Road residence at 4:21 a.m. Just 8 minutes later, he arrives at his stopping point where he gets rid of all the evidence. After the cleanup, he then drives back into Idaho and turns his phone back on, which occurs near a town named Blaine. This was referenced in the arrest affidavit along with the next town called Uniontown. The last place to...
So he stopped for 10 minutes at that place. And she's talking about a hole. Was something moved from there? I wonder.
Reference is where he's seen on cameras near his apartment at 5:25 a.m. Using Google tools, we can get accurate timing information. This entire route took 54 minutes. If we add the 10 minutes stopping time to that, it would be an hour and 4 minutes. Now, if you add that hour and 4 minutes to the time he left King Road, it would equal 5:25 a.m., the same time the camera captures him on the cameras near Washington State University. The last thing to compare is this part of the route, which has a reported time of 38 minutes to drive without any stopping. Bringing back the time record and adding in the second leg information of 38 minutes, we can now add that time to when he turned his phone back on, which was at 4:48 a.m. After adding the 38 minutes to that time, it gives us 5:26 a.m., nearly the same time that was captured on the campus cameras.
And that's the end of that one. It says part 1. I don't know if she's done another one. Let's check. This girl's like super talented. Looks like she's doing other. Sonia Massey. I don't see another one yet. She did a lot of Karen Reed trial. The 10-minute stopping time from his phone records. It does bother me the 8 hours, but I don't want to judge her too much just because I know she didn't do anything. Like, they couldn't have been saved. So why be so rough on the girl? I mean, yeah, I want to know too. It's Asgat Industries. I'm going to give you guys the link right now. I'm going to subscribe. Oh, my third question for Mr. Thompson, Robat, would be, what are you doing with the dollhouse that you made that looks like 1122 King Road?
Shake, shake, shake.
That's my third.
Shake, shake, shake those bushes.
Thank you, Dina
Shake
Weeks.
those bushes.
Thank you for your super chat. Thank you, Jay, for always having great lives. I mean, I really do have questions of, what was going on, what, they were thinking, but I do think it can be explained. And I don't know. I don't think she's guilty of anything. So, yeah, the dollhouse. So they made, you guys didn't catch that in the one hearing that it was a dollhouse. Hold on. 1122. That's what freaking Thompson called it. Dollhouse murder scene, Idaho. Let's see if we can find a clip. It was in one of the hearings. Thompson said it. Hold on. What's his name? Bill Thompson. And I was like, why would he call it a freaking dollhouse? Here it is. Found it.
In our motion regarding demonstrative evidence, we were talking specifically about, for lack of a better phrase, a dollhouse, a not-to-scale construction.
See? A not-to-scale construction. And they're going to wheel it in. Listen.
In our motion regarding demonstrative evidence, we were talking specifically about, for lack of a better phrase, a dollhouse, a not-to-scale construction, a 3D model of the residence itself. And as the court can see from the materials that have been submitted, the configuration of this house is unusual at best. Certainly we can use diagrams and floor plans, which we did at the grand jury. But it struck us as we were looking at this case that it would be particularly helpful for the trial jury to actually be able to see in a 3D sense how everything's laid out, what is on each floor, where the bedrooms are, how the first floors.
For it to be demonstrative evidence, what's important is whether it explains the testimony of somebody on the stand and helps the jury understand it in relation to the testimony. The concept of a demonstrative exhibit is that it's actually part of their testimony.
Yes, Your Honor, that's exactly what I was getting at. What we contemplate is the witnesses being able to use this demonstrative evidence to demonstrate where they were, where the rooms of their roommates were, where the entries to the residence were, what they observed, and where everything was located. So it's not.
I was very disturbed by this because I pictured a doll of Kaylee, a doll of Maddie, a doll of Dylan, Xana, Ethan, and Bethany, and them using a quote-unquote dollhouse, as he said, and reenacting the crime scene with fucking dolls. I don't know. I never seen or heard anything like that ever.
It's not intended as a standalone exhibit that has significance. It's only a tool for the witnesses, not just the roommates, but the responding officers, the officers who investigated the crime scene, to point out to the jury where in this 3-story structure certain things were that they observed. And so that is our intent on this. We initially contemplated offering a 2-scale model. And the defense, I think rightfully so, said, okay, well, give us the background information and data that would be relied on. And we requested that, and for whatever reasons, we didn't get it quickly. But as we revisited, we realized that to scale maybe is not what we want. We just want a demonstrative exhibit that witnesses can use, much the same as a sketch, or if they would take a flip pad and try to draw things to help illustrate their testimony to the jury. So that's where we ended up here. We look at the balancing test under 403 as far as relevance. We believe this will be helpful to witnesses in explaining to the jury and to the jury in understanding witnesses' testimony.
Joe, they use the scan of the house to create the quote-unquote exhibit.
As far as prejudicial effect, the state doesn't perceive any significant prejudicial effect. Now, I realize that the expert witness for the defendant talks about jurors misinterpreting angles of view and stuff. Well, that would be true if we were dealing with a 2-scale exhibit. And the defense is welcome to offer their 3D imaging or whatever it is that they want, if they want to have a 2-scale presentation. That's not our intent, though. Our intent is just simply to have this as a tool to help witnesses explain their testimony and help the jury understand.
And I think you understand this, but so that, it's clear. If it allowed as a demonstrative exhibit, it's not an exhibit in the sense that it goes to the jury when they deliberate. It will not go back with them.
Yes, we completely understand that. We intend this to be something in the courtroom that is physical, that the jury can look at and the witness can look at and point to things so the jurors have the most complete understanding of what their testimony is.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know how visible it will be to you've seen now where we're going to be, how visible it's going to be to the jury from where it would be presented. So I guess if I allow, we'll have to cross that bridge.
And that's understood. The last communication we had earlier this week, Your Honor, from the folks at the FBI is that it might be finished within the next 10 days. I'll be candid. I had proposed to the FBI, let us get this in front of the court and get a preliminary ruling from the court before you spend the effort to construct it, but they went ahead and started anyway. So that's neither here nor there. It is intended, as you can see.
He's a joke. They went ahead and started it anyway. Why does he seem so nervous? What? This whole thing is weird, man. Isn't it? Their behavior, the secretiveness, just fucking weird. Listen to that again.
Get a preliminary ruling from the court before you spend the effort to construct it, but they went ahead and started anyway. So that's neither here nor there. It is intended, as you can see from State's Exhibit 1 or S1 with the dimensions in there. It's a fairly significant size, 35 by 48 by 52 inches. So the idea of making it big enough so the jurors can see it's out in the floor in the well, and they can actually see how things are constructed and arranged. It can take apart floor by floor so they can see each floor individually and then how they are stacked back together. So that's the purpose, to assist witnesses in explaining their testimony and assist jurors in understanding the testimony.
Strange, huh? I was really looking forward to this dollhouse in the trial to see how they used it. This is his last trial. And he's, I want to see a picture of the damn thing. And if I was the family, I'd want to know where the fuck it is, right? What are you doing with it? What are you doing with it, Santa? I want to know who's going to keep it. It's so weird. Okay. We are now going to watch Olivia Gonsalves, finally. This is what we talked about in the very beginning. This is Brian Enton's new channel. It's just called Brian Enton. This is just one day ago. So this is Kaylee's older sister, Olivia. We saw her doing all the interviews in the beginning. She was pregnant when this happened. And if I could ask Brian Enton a question, I would ask him how he felt when Tony Mathis wanted a photo with him. So if anyone ever gets the opportunity to ask Brian Enton a question, please ask them that. How uncomfortable were you when Tony Mathis had his arm around you, taking a picture in front of the King Road house? Right, Cricket. And he's like, oh, I told him, wait till I get a preliminary, okay from the court. Oh, but they already started building it. Hurt. Real funny. Good night, Luke.
Brian Enton Investigates. I'm going to take you guys on the road with me all over the country to all the stories I cover. I mean, this question, talking to you can imagine, I was really, really emotional. So thank you for talking to me, Olivia. I know, I hate to even ask this question because it kind of seems stupid, but I do want to ask you, like, how you're doing. I mean, it's been a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it's very day to day for me, right? Recently, I've had a lot of really hard days of just feeling like, man, like this is the conclusion. I feel like for me, I did so much like legwork and like preparatory work to like prepare myself for trial and, be able to come in strong, come in true to myself, like almost harden myself to what we were, kind of expecting this to be, but doing it knowing that like I don't get to go to Kaylee's wedding. I don't get to go to Maddie's baby shower. I don't get to do these things. So in a way for me, it was like, I get to do this. I get to show up for you. So it's been really hard kind of grieving that part of it because I think I had hyped it up in my head to be this like grand gesture that I was doing out of like sisterly love.
Here, let me pull up an older interview of her because Crafting just said she'd never seen her before. Olivia Gonsalves. Interview. She was taking a lot of the stuff off of her parents back then. Here she is.
Just so hard.
My girl, person.
Gosh, they've been through so much. Christy looks so different too. And you have to remember too, this weight loss could be a lot of stress. You know what I mean? Because Christy has lost a lot of weight as well. I can't imagine what they've gone through. Yeah, she has 4 children. Let's watch this clip and then we'll finish watching and then we can kind of compare, where they were then compared to how they are now.
She was hurt so bad that she was not able to recover. That is just terrible.
Oh, it's okay.
It's terrible. And I cannot fathom in my head what kind of person did this.
It's capable.
And why. I can't sleep at night. I lay in bed pondering just millions of different scenarios. And just, I want to know, but then there's stuff obviously you don't want to know, but
You just cry.
I think I want to know it all, and
You're okay.
I just don't understand why. How somebody can take somebody, four of them, it wasn't just my girl, just so savagely.
Is anyone acting differently since the murders? I mean, is there anyone that
that you have a weird feeling about that the girls knew or that comes to mind?
Yeah, I would say not in the immediate circle by any means, but a few of the names that have been circulating around, I think it's hard not to kind of, dig into this. And I don't know how much of that is just because we have so little information from law enforcement and how much of it really is, a sister or a father's intuition.
Can you elaborate at all? I don't know. You don't have to give a name, but I mean, is it someone that she knew, or?
I have something to say about that. I just feel like there's been a couple individuals that were cleared very fast. That may not, maybe he shouldn't have been. And yeah.
She had the strong alibi.
Just really fast.
If you can dismiss.
An hour later, and we're like, what? And I don't know. I don't know anything about those individuals. I just know they were people that, definitely should have been looked at, and yeah.
I don't know what would prevent you from sharing somebody's alibi.
Yeah, I think that's what we're struggling with. So it's like, we know what we know. We've, fought for Jack, Kaylee's boyfriend, and, we still stand that way. So I did just kind of want to clear that up while we're talking through this ambiguity that, that's not what we're honing in on here.
We don't want to make more victims out of innocent people.
Exactly.
We definitely don't want to do that.
No. You've mentioned before that you didn't want to have a funeral right now because the killer's still out there. Is that something that you're still thinking about? Are you nervous at all? I mean, because in Moscow, we talked to students. People are really nervous there.
So
They should be.
Yeah.
This targeted to me, it seems behavior based. That's why I don't like it, and it kind of pits the parents against each other. So I don't like that. I just told some of the other parents today that if your daughter has no ill will for me, man. To me, if you go have a couple beers or go out and hang out with your friends and then come home and go to bed, if that's your target, then I think we all do that. I think we all come home and go to our beds.
That's all target.
Yeah, so
it's kind of a bad word then. It doesn't really make sense in some ways.
Exactly.
Even the prosecutor told me that.
Yeah.
He said, I think it was kind of a weird word to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it makes sense if there was some bad behavior that they did. Let's say, I don't know, they came from a strip club or something, and then somebody followed them home. That's a targeted thing. That's what comes. I've had innocent people that were interviewed that were their neighbors, and they said, I'd be a lot more scared if it wasn't targeted.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing anything to target me. And I'm like, well, if targeting's just going to bed with your friends.
So maybe that was just a way to calm people down?
I feel like it was strategic.
Yeah.
It was a strategic way to keep people from hitting the door, transferring out, and turning that place into a ghost town. So,
You never think you're going to lose your little sister. Ever.
Yeah.
You never think you're going to have to bury your daughter.
Absolutely unbelievable. It's nothing compared to the pain that I feel.
Yeah.
Losing Kaylee. And I don't know. It's several things. It's her age. It's how it happened.
It's her life.
Why it happened. Mm-hmm. Who did this to her?
Just graduated.
Who did this to her and her friends? The fact that she was with her best friend. Since they were little girls.
Isn't that crazy watching back now? Like, wow. He wasn't even caught yet. They didn't know who did it in that interview. How scary. And if you listen to my book reading, you'll see all these people were getting threats. And then look at them now.
Joining us now are Kaylee Gonzalez's parents.
My schedule had things.
Get this process.
Trying to catch up a little bit too. We expected to go.
This is 2 years later. 2.5 years. Thanks, Everett. Good to see you.
Trial this summer, and I had 250 hours set aside. Had my schedule. Had things going. So it was a radical change for us. So now we're just trying to wrap our head around this new development, and we're still a family. We still got to take care of ourselves, so we're moving on.
You've had a lot to wrap your head around for the past couple weeks, and sort of whiplash, if you will, to have Brian Kohberger in court that day, admitting his guilt, admitting in open court everything he did. What was that like, even if you weren't in the actual courtroom for it? What was that like to hear him actually say he's guilty?
It was very surreal. It was very emotional to hear it. Something that, I don't think that we were ever really prepared to hear or think that we would hear. So,
That's
yeah,
great,
it was hard.
Jacqueline.
It was definitely hard. I wish that, he would have had to say maybe their names other than just simple yeses and nos. But
why?
Just I think it shows a little bit more accountability and taking, owning up to what he did, to have to say the victims' names, our daughter's name, not just yes, yes, yes. I just feel like that was a really easy way to admit his guilt.
Yeah, I agree.
No, we
want to
switched.
see some sternness when you see 4 lives lost. He wasn't even asked to stand. It's like those are the type of things
I
that,
just wanted to show how much, they had changed. All right, back to Olivia. Sorry about that.
And then to have it taken so quickly has just kind of felt like whiplash. But today's actually a good day. So on that flip side, I think that I have days where I feel stronger and, you feel kind of a weight has been lifted. This isn't something that I have to put myself through. In fact, it won't happen. This is an outcome that I no longer have to stress about because, I have 4 kids. They're all, younger, and the logistics of doing this for months in Boise was going to be really hard. So today's actually a pretty good day.
What was it like at the plea hearing? I had been texting with you, but I didn't really get a chance to talk with you too much. But I saw you going in from a distance, and I was just thinking about you and your mom and your dad too, and it just
Thanks,
I
Mountain
can't
Mom.
imagine what that was like.
It was honestly pretty annoying. And that's just honestly my first reaction there. We didn't have any sort of communication with the prosecutors, like, park here, we'll meet you, nothing like that. So we had
This
to park
pissed me
across the
off.
street at Winco, just because we figured we'd.
See, I think they've been isolated, and this pisses me off. And thank you, Robat. You guys can click that link and go click the notification. Can you find the thanks, Beans. Robat, can you grab the link to my first book reading, The One of Three, Part 1? What was I just saying? I can't remember. Oh, that they didn't have anyone escort them. I think they've been completely like black sheep of the families, right? Because they've been the outspoken ones, the ones that want answers. They're just a different type of people, than the other families are. They're not quiet. They stick together. They defend one another. They have a different way of running their family unit. And I think it's so insensitive, and I'm so not impressed with Bill Thompson at all. Simply due to this kind of stuff. This should be something that they definitely should have known to set up and protect them.
Be able to get a spot there. And as you're walking out, people start to, recognize probably who my dad is, maybe who my mom is. And it just felt like we were walking up already feeling kind of vulnerable, and then it just started closing in, right? And you're kind of just asking for space, and you need to back up and this and that, and it's really not given.
Thanks, Robat.
Actually, on the way in across the street, because we were across the street at Winco, there were 3 officers standing outside of a cruiser, and I was like, hey, is there any way that you can kind of help us just like get across the street and into the courthouse? And they were super kind, and of course, they helped us in that way. I think the hardest
Shameful.
part was my dad and brother waited outside of the courthouse. And that's hard, not to walk in united, but then also to respect that this whole process has, yes, we're united as a family, or, even all of the families, I'd say, but it is very much an individual path. I can't put my mom and my dad on my back and make them walk my path, and vice versa. So it was hard not to walk in with, my dad, who is, you know, uh, just our protector, and, our shield. So it was me, my mom, my aunt, my sister Autumn, and then actually a member of the Kernodle family, but we were all females. Um, so it already just felt kind of vulnerable. And then the worst part was just waiting. So we walked in, they didn't know that we were coming, they didn't know who we were. And so we're just sitting there waiting, waiting, waiting. Eventually, we get taken to a little waiting room and then moved into an empty courtroom. And we're just waiting, waiting, waiting. And the police officers are there and they're kind of talking on their walkie-talkies back and forth a little bit. Um, and I think that anxiety crept in for my mom, especially. And it just felt like I just want to rip this Band-Aid off. Getting into the courtroom was also shitty. Everyone had been seated before us other than members of like the public and some members of the media, but all the families were there, prosecutors, everyone on the defense's side except for the defendant. And it literally, I'm probably exaggerating, but it felt like everyone turned and looked at us when we were walking in. We were in they're kind of pew setups. So I think that we were in that fourth row on the way back. And on the other side of us was members of the public. So once again, just like a very vulnerable feeling of, feeling misplaced, I guess. And then, yeah, once proceedings started, the judge kind of started in a funky way. I'll leave it at that for now. And that was annoying. And then
When he kind of like disciplined everyone about about people calling. It was really
right.
a weird way to start it.
Yeah, I think that in my opinion, I respect his decision and I, even respect what he was saying. I think that maybe there was just a different way to say it, especially when on the flip side, he is kind of giving a lot more respect to the defendant who's literally admitting to murdering four people, two of which were my sisters. So I understand it. I'm not picking a fight with the judge. But yeah, that
Yeah.
kind of set things off on a foot that I think
Do you
that
remember what he said? He was like, to say I'm happy to be here would be a lie, so I won't say it, or some shit like that.
we even less were expecting. And then, yeah, I mean, it was literally nothing. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel like, oh, this is the moment we've been waiting for. They ask a series of questions and it's, kind of his nasally little voice. Yes, yes, no, no. And then,
I love how she mimicked Brian. This little nasally voice, this little douchebag, putz, mother effer.
Kind of his nasally little voice. Yes, yes, no, no. And then, says guilty 5 times. And that's that. Thanks for the sign of respect, but you can sit now. Uh, so yeah, it was overall annoying. It wasn't necessarily emotional for me. And part of that could have been just how protective, I guess, that I was feeling of us being vulnerable in that state. But it was really hard to accept that that is an acceptable and even preferred form of, what is justice.
Was it weird seeing his parents? Because I had seen them the first hearing in Pennsylvania, but I had never seen them again. But I was wondering what it was like for you guys.
No, and it was just another thing where it's just like annoying, where I
Okay, before we get into this segment about Brian's parents, this is what they endured. Okay, this is because no one helped them. There's Olivia, there's Christy, there's I think it's Steve Jr., right? And look at the media frenzy all around them. They've got no one protecting them. They had to park across the damn street. Oh yeah, the judge told Brian, thank you for the sign of respect, but you can sit down. Listen, look at this, though. This is what they endured going to the courthouse for the plea, which was thrown upon them like they had no, you know what I mean? Like they were blindsided. Watch this. And that's Xana's aunt on the far right. That's the member of the Kernodle family that came with them. So this is Xana's representation and Kaylee's. And look at Olivia. Look at her face. She's like, the fuck, dude? Can you please help us out here? Terrible.
Well, as you can see, right?
You know what? Why didn't the Kohbergers have to walk in like this? Why didn't Mr. and Mrs. Kohberger have to walk in like this? Hey, Alabama mom. Can someone tell me why the Kohbergers got to go in a private door? I don't understand. These are victims.
How are you holding us? Well, as you can see, right?
Is this justice?
No.
No.
No. We're going. We're going.
Are you guys
Keep
going to be
going.
in the courtroom today?
Keep going.
Some of us will.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, I heard you might protest
Head
outside.
forward.
Yeah, I'm not going in.
You're not going in.
Head up. Keep going.
I saw your post. You said it's in the judge's email.
Up. Yes, it is. You want to go in? Or are you in here?
Text me if anything comes up or you need anything. We've got time. Yeah, send me the link.
You got it. You got you. I got you. Okay. I got you. I got you.
And it's not just the media anymore. Look at, this is Aubrey. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Shame on these people. Shame on these regular Joes.
Shake, shake, shake.
Hey, Shelby
Shake,
Lynn.
Shake, shake, shake those bushes. Shake those bushes.
I know, Joe Madre. It's kind of like Maddie Soto. Just failed time after time after time. But that's Aubrey. They're getting ready to send Aubrey off to college, you guys. And when I say leave Steve G alone, this is why. Leave him the fuck alone. Let him have his voice. Let him have his opinions. His daughter was the one killed. And now he's got to worry about this one. It's fucked. I can't believe that there's people that judge him, tell him to shut up, not to talk. He's lying, that he's doing this, doing that. I mean, this view right here of these two men, the two Gonsalves men, looking on to the two women and poor Aubrey, it's fucking sad. And then you got this lady over here with the fupa and her pink phone with her hair tie about to cut her circulation off on her wrist, thinking she's getting some kind of cool footage. I would never, ever have attended this and got up in the Gonsalves face and put this on my fucking channel. It's gross. Yeah, people might watch it, but fuck. Freaking fupa lady. It's heartbreaking. Look at them. Look how many people are just with their regular phones. Oh, let's get video of the emotional family, you know? Fuck. Oh, is it Autumn or Aubrey? Sorry. I might have said the wrong name. There's so many Gonsalves.
Okay, I got it. I got it. Where's Aunt Tammy? She had to go to the handicap. Okay.
Want to do that? Yeah, it's not go off.
And look at them. Look at these people. These guys are standing there talking to each other. And they have the audacity to be that fucking close. And why weren't the police keeping them away from the victims? What the hell's going on? They have an Autumn and an Aubrey. Yeah. It's gross, man. It's just gross.
Want to do that? Yeah, it's not go off. Just give us some space, guys. Yep.
Steve, you still planning to stay outside?
Look at that. Imagine facing all of this. Horrible, man.
Right now.
Look how they follow him. Look at this.
They're not holding out hope still.
Look at that shit.
I'm staying outside as a former protester. Then our agreed. They just agreed on something and then they just completely back.
We didn't agree on anything. He only negotiated with the murderer of our children. That was the only person that he negotiated with. He didn't give us the competency to negotiate with us. Even pretend. He could have just pretended and then lied, but he didn't even pretend. He basically said, your guys' input isn't needed.
The judge could hear one thought from you that he should remember. What is it?
He's going to own this. He's going to inherit what Thompson did, and he's the only one that can fix it. He's the only one who can make it right. He needs to protect those other surviving victims and make this person say that they had nothing to do with it. He did it solely. He did it all on his own, and nobody else was responsible. And then we won't keep having these supporters always saying that he got set up. We know what he's planning on doing. Somebody died, a vet died, and he's going to try to say that, put the blame on that person. So he's not going to take accountability. And Thompson didn't force him to take accountability. He didn't even negotiate. That's terrible.
You don't.
Do you think that we will find out who Kohberger wanted to blame?
I think 4 life sentences is just.
Anyways, that's what they went through. Let's get back to Olivia. Sorry. She brings up such good points. I wanted to actually show you what they went through in that moment.
I get it. I'm a mother. I have a son.
Okay, now we're back to Kohberger's parents. We're talking about Michael and Marianne Kohberger.
But you think to yourself, and obviously I don't want to be in their shoes. I do want to, extend empathy. I don't know what that looks like. And I hope that, of course, I never do. But, my
I thought this was
son
big of
comes
her to
home in
say.
the car that they're looking for, and he's aggressively cleaning his car in the garage at odd hours of night. I might feel a certain way. And then as more facts come out, I think that you can continue to love someone, but know that you don't support or condone their behavior or actions. I understand it was their right to be there. But yeah, that was a little frustrating. I didn't feel anger towards them. I just kind of felt like, wow. Okay.
So she brings up a really good point, right? It reminds me of the laundries in a way. Your son comes home. He's in the car that they're looking for that is a murderer. He's meticulously cleaning his car. He's in your kitchen, not in his bedroom, in the kitchen, at the kitchen table, bagging up his garbage in individual Ziploc bags. She has a great point. They had to have thought something's not right. And maybe the sister is the one that actually made a call, you know? Because I don't think the parents turned him in. I think his sister turned him in.
And like you said, I mean, he just gave these one-word answers and pled guilty. I mean, what would you have, or what would you still like to know? I know you wanted other things to be in the plea deal.
Yeah, I think for us, we were taken aback by the plea deal because it happened so fast. And we never really had that conversation with the prosecutors that was like, this is happening. You know, I need you guys to prepare yourself. If it's accepted, that's that. So we were really taken aback in general. Our main argument wasn't ever for there not to be a plea deal. It really came down more to let's get a full confession. And I think that that is what would have made the big difference for us. And it's kind of multifaceted. It was difficult to hear Thompson make his factual basis. I think that's what they called it, because the amount of times you heard him say, and we can't prove that, and we don't know this, and we don't think this, in my opinion, was very weak, especially when there was an outcome, there was an ending here where we didn't have those questions, where, you know, there was a full admission. I also think that the full admission would have been helpful not only for our healing, because I think for me specifically, and I wish I wasn't this way, I need that full picture, right? I still just feel like I don't even understand what the hell happened, right? Like none of it makes
Exactly.
sense to me. And I can look at these facts, but as far as putting something together in my head that makes sense, it's really difficult for me to do with a lack of. But I also think that so many people are, you know, invested or interested in this. And I do think that it has changed a lot of people's lives. And I think that they deserve to have the confidence as well. I think that there was certain elements like where the murder weapon was, you know, certain chemicals that he used on his car, you know, certain receipts, certain, you know, data that was deleted from his phone that could have been kind of corroborated potentially to further put to bed some of that white noise that exists online.
See,
and
that's
some of what these conspiracy theorists.
That's what frustrates me, right? Is that in an investigation, they only go so far, right? Like we're nosy. We want to know everything. They only need enough to fit the narrative and prove their case. So as soon as they get to a certain point in an investigation, they stop. So, like the questions we have was Kohberger Papa Roger? Who knows? Maybe they never even looked into that. Do you know what I'm saying? Because they already had his name. I don't know. They were already watching him. What do you guys think about that?
Continue to this day slander mainly my sisters through this process. You know, and to say that, oh, he's a fall guy, or, you know, he's not really guilty, or, you know, XYZ, and use whatever convoluted, you know, piece of something or nothing at all to kind of prove their argument. So it would have been nice to have that level of confidence. Not that we ever thought that this defendant wasn't guilty, just because it's like, let's put every nail in his coffin. You know, I don't have a more eloquent way to say that.
What did you ever get a chance to tell the prosecution that you wanted a full confession, and did they ever respond?
So as soon as we got the email on Sunday, you know, I was kind of trying to do everything that I could. We didn't even know if the deal had been sent to the defense. but immediately I said, has this been sent to the defense? And like, can we include concessions for the victim's family in the form of XYZ? And at first it wasn't just the confession. It was also, kind of like, can we make him not be able to make money off of this? Can we make him not be able to talk to members of the media? I understand that there's First Amendment rights there and stuff, but in the moment, you're not necessarily thinking super clearly. You're just trying to say like, well, give me something here. And they replied the following morning and said that they could meet with us later in the afternoon, but that the deal had already been sent to the defense and there was nothing they could do. And then we met with them later that afternoon after the deal had already been accepted. So I even continued on after the deal had been, accepted or whatnot, because it hadn't gone to court yet. It hadn't been accepted by the judge. And I continued to literally beg and plead that they amend it to include the full confession. At that point, that was all we were fighting for. And they eventually, replied and said that it would be an ethical issue for them to do so. So I think legally they could have, but because of the ethics for this quadruple murderer, they were not willing to make any concessions on our behalf.
That is so wrong. In my opinion, I think that's wrong. I think there's a way they could have squeezed in a concession on behalf of the family. I mean, I don't understand this. Ethical issue. Really, Thompson?
I think on the outside, everyone has wanted to know what the motive is. Have you been able to get any information? Is there anything that we don't know about whether he, who the target was, or whether he had a connection to someone in the house, or why that house?
I think that this connection theory started when they announced that this was a targeted incident, right? Because people, and they use this targeted incident as a way to say that the community was safe, right? I think that was definitely the wrong word choice. And I think that if I go back now and watch those press conferences with Sheriff Fry, you can see that, right? Where he says, we can't say that the community is a net threat. But by then, the targeted had stuck so much for whatever reason. I think what they meant to say was something along the lines of, we believe these victims have passed some time ago, and there hasn't been any further attacks on the community.
This is nuts.
And the roommates inside the house were home during this attack, and they also were not attacked. So we think that the community is safe because of the time lapse that has happened here. But I think maybe an easy way to say that is targeted. Maybe isolated would have been a little better, but I don't know if isolated was charged enough to kind of stick the way targeted did. So that being said.
And it was confusing, remember? Like, they said targeted, but then the prosecutor said, then they said not targeted, then the prosecutor said targeted. It was like the story was.
It was someone in the house. Then it was the house itself.
Yeah.
Then it was the street sign and maybe the dog. Sorry, Murphy. Don't mean to bring you up. But
yeah, none of that made sense. Targeted, not targeted, no threat to the community. It was cover your ass for the university. I don't know. It just seems like it's deeper than that. Like, that part, yeah, is, the university, the house torn down. That's the university. But how these people have been treated is wild to me.
I genuinely don't think that they meant to get themselves into this targeted hole the way that kind of this targeted snowballed itself. But I think that frustration came from us with, it's like you're saying it's targeted and you literally say in a press conference, you're just going to have to trust us. And then at the end, it's all found out that, well, he didn't have a connection to anyone. So we're obviously sitting there thinking, Well, then how the hell is it targeted? I don't know a why. I think that even if he was hooked up to a lie detector and given truth serum, his, why would be that he was just desperately trying to feel anything at all because he's a psychopath and he doesn't feel human emotions the way we do.
I think she's got Brian figured
I don't
out
think
here.
it's a reason that would make sense to any of us because we aren't that. I think that that reasoning would only make sense to that type of, human being or whatever you want to call him. But as far as the connection goes, I do truly believe in my heart that he at some point had spotted probably, I don't like to say Maddie because I think that naming someone implies a certain level of like victim blaming or guilt, and I don't feel that way at all. So that's why I have always hesitated from saying anyone at all. But if I just look at it from like a factual basis of being like, he went directly upstairs, Kaylee wasn't, in that house as much towards that tail end there. But again, they're all assumptions. What the hell do I really know? I think the most logical thing would be someone on the third floor because that's where he went first. And I think that's the only place he planned to go. And I don't think that he anticipated Kaylee and Maddie being in bed together.
And back to what you said about the prosecutor's factual basis, it doesn't seem like they really know either, right? I mean,
They've told us they don't know. We didn't know if that was kind of a bluff and they had, something that just was covered by the gag or whatnot, but they have never told us that they believe it was blank.
would you want Kohberger to speak at some point? I mean, you were saying how like for you, you want to know everything. Would you want him to like do some kind of interview where he tells all, or would
I don't think so, and I understand how that sounds contradictory, but let me explain. I think that it should have been I think that it should have been done within the bounds of the legal system where he didn't have control over it, where he doesn't get to, control this narrative where it's done in a sterile environment, and in a way that is, read or perceived as a court document. It's not about him. It's not about his name. It's not about his face. It's not about his voice. It's literally a means to an end, right? It's, this individual has this information, whatever, X, Y, Z, if you just think about it like kind of in a calculated manner. So no, I hope that after sentencing, no one ever says his name again, because I think that an individual like he is, any attention is positive. He views it positively. It doesn't matter if someone's talking poorly or talking positively about him, because attention is what is craved and it feeds into his ego. So for me, I think the best way to, kill an ego is to stop feeding it. I hope that his name is never on another headline. Call him the defendant, call him whatever you'd like. There's 4 other names that are much more worthy of, being written or spoken or remembered than his name. And to be honest, I don't say his name. I've never said his name. Like in an interview setting, very, very rarely within the confines of my own home, very, very rarely, in a text message with a family member or anything, because I don't think he deserves it.
yeah. And I mean, you mentioned the people who do matter, your sister Kaylee, Xana, Ethan, Maddie.
You know what?
I
just thought of something. I think the people that hate Steve and the Gonsalves family and like give them all this hate are literally jealous of their family dynamic. That's the only thing I can think of. Why would you have hatred towards victims' family? You know what I mean? No matter what they say. It was their child. It was their sister. Who the fuck are we to say what they should do and shouldn't do? So the only thing I can gather is that people are actually jealous of this family for their own fucked up reasons.
Something about them, I think, came through, and I think that that's the reason this story has become what it is. I mean, I there's just something about all of them that is so special and wonderful and innocent and nice. You know what I mean? Like other stories that I cover, sometimes there's a reason, oh, well, the victim might have done this. These are just all such good kids. Like, and I think whether you're a mom who has a kid in college or whether you're in college and you relate to it or whether, I don't know, there's something about Kaylee and the other three that really, like, something about it connects with people.
I obviously agree. And thank you for saying it. Um, yeah, I know that I didn't have the privilege of meeting Xana or Ethan, so I can only speak directly to Kaylee or Maddie. But they were genuinely good people. They weren't into, anything that is like associated with negative connotations. Like they weren't bullies, they weren't mean girls, they weren't, stuck up, they weren't rude, they weren't, all of these things. Like they were very well-rounded, funny, down-to-earth people who were right at that cusp of being like, we made it, right? We put in the hard work, we went to school, we got our degrees, like we did it, right? Um, and then I also think just the nature of it, of knowing that, even in a community as small and as safe, I would still call Moscow a safe place, believe it or not. Um, in the middle of the night, four of them, one of them being Ethan, who was a really tall guy, you know, um, really strong guy, really tall and strong guy, to be taken in the way that they were is almost everyone's worst nightmare, right? Right next to the, did I hear something outside of my shower? Um, so yeah, I think that it's the nature of just who they are and how just much they deserve to be here. Just as much as like, I think they're just relatable, where it's like, I can look at Kaylee and see my daughter. I can look at Maddie and see my sister. I can look at, and I'm speaking from an outsider view, when I say that. I think they're all very relatable. And it's anyone's worst nightmare. It's a parent's worst nightmare. It's a sibling's worst nightmare. Aunt, uncle, grandparent, just they did everything right. Ubered out, Ubered in, stuck with the buddy system. They were in their beds, not doing anything, doing exactly what they should have been doing. And it still happened.
I think people, because your dad has been the most sort of visible, and I think, and he's sort of like you said, the fighter, and speaks on behalf of the family, and people just, respect him. But I don't think people realize that you're kind of like the fighter behind the scenes. At least that's what it seems like to me. Um, and your family is so nice. I mean, your mom and your dad, I've been to your house and like they're just you guys are so nice and they love each other so much. There's just so many messed up families in this world, you know what I mean? And like you can just sense the love amongst you guys. And like when something like this happens, I'm sure with a lot of families, people, fall apart, I'm sure. But it just, I don't know. I've been so inspired. And same with like the Chapins who I've met and but with you guys, just because I've been to your house and stuff, um, it's just amazing to me that like you're managing to, I don't know, just still be somewhat okay together?
Yeah, I think maybe it's just that stubbornness in us, like we're just too stubborn to split. I don't know. No, I'm joking. I think, yeah, we've always had a really strong foundation for family where, we've all messed up a time or two. And we also have, kind of a communication where I can sit there and say, no, you were wrong here. And I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. And then, we don't talk for a week or two and then we're okay. We've always lived in an environment where you were okay to speak your mind. You might get your ass chewed for it, But at the end of the day, it was going to be okay. Like you would be heard and maybe considered, but at least you were able to get it off your chest. So yeah, and I also think that my family is super dynamic and not in the traditional sense. I think that we all have really specific roles that we do a really good job of playing. And that's why it's so hard to lose Kaylee and Maddie because they had really specific roles too. And we're not going to fill those roles, right? They're not replaceable positions or anything like that. But so it's like you still feel that missing, right? At the end of my days, like I still feel that pain because they complimented all of us the same way that we complimented them. Where Kaylee would never, ever, ever like a waitress could literally like pick up Kaylee's like bun and like spit in her hamburger and put it back down and shove it in her face, and Kaylee would just be like, "Thank you so much." That wasn't Kaylee's role. That was maybe more mine. To be like, "Listen, Linda," but together we were all, we were a well-rounded family together. But I think individually, sometimes you see those not so well-rounded edges. I know they exist in me. I know they exist in my dad. And I think my
You
dad
guys
and
are
I
kind
are,
of similar.
yeah, I think my dad and I are a
Writers,
little alike.
yeah.
But, in the beginning, I did a lot of interviews and stuff, but that was never my role to play. I think that I filled that to try to give my dad, you know, a little bit of time, basically. I felt like it was just kind of holding back those floodgates. And I realized that it wasn't something that I would be able to handle, just because the pressure was so, so, so intense, almost immediately. And I got advice from, a close family member who actually works in the media, just like a local station. And they said to me, you're you're gonna have to control the narrative or they will, right? And so that was kind of that deciding factor for us to, kind of speak with the media and, do these interviews. It was never about, clout or, wanting screen time or anything like that. It was always about, that advice from a trusted person, in this industry saying, you got to control it or someone else will. Um, So, yeah, I was very happy to put down my interview hat and be more of that support position for my dad, to bounce ideas off of. And well, maybe don't say that. Well, what if we went about it this angle? Um, it's not that I had any less fight in me. It was just that it was never my role to play. He's always been that position for our family. Uh, and I would never, ever, ever want to, take that from him. That's
Pickle, that
his.
makes
He's earned
sense.
it. He deserves it, and he's good at it.
Hmm.
So I'm more than happy to support him in, however I can.
What about like I haven't read the book, but I saw some interviews this week about the James Patterson book, and I think there's other books that have been written in docuseries and stuff. I mean, are you okay with those things? I mean, I guess each one is different, but
Yeah, I think it just comes down to that. Each one is different. I know that Vicky Ward, who co-wrote the James Patterson book, she, reached out to us, and we earlier were kind of offered to be a larger part of that book, and we declined for whatever reasoning. I honestly couldn't tell you exactly why, but later in that writing process she reached out to us, and so my dad and I kind of talked to her, not in a formal manner or anything, just kind of in a voice for Kaylee to give it a little bit more like lividity or vibrancy, and in more of like a fact checking manner. And so for me, I can respect something like that. Again, it's the floodgates. I can't hold them all back. People are going to make money off of this and monopolize it, and I can't sit here and say, well, I did the media interviews because of X, Y, Z, and then get upset when someone else does. So I get it. Sometimes do I begrudge it? Maybe. But I guess it just comes down to,
I agree, May
trust your
May.
sources. And I think that goes
I
for,
agree with that.
everything. If you're getting your news from a TikToker, named True Crime Bubble Waters or whatever, maybe just double check the facts that are coming. But I think that in this process, I've learned that there's just a lot you got to let go. There's a lot of battles. And if you pick every single one, what's going to be left of you? So I try to be strategic with the battles I pick, and the books and the, docuseries, they're not a battle I'm going to pick.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the people you mentioned, TikTok and the conspiracy theorists and stuff, I mean, they're
Oh,
always
my
going to be
original
around.
question? Is that what y'all are talking about? My original question was, he went in the house, he went in the back door, he went upstairs to Maddie's room. They assume she would be, that he thought she'd be alone. And she wasn't. So he takes care, like Kaylee wakes up, whatever. He does what he takes care of her or whatever. And then Maddie, right? But his original plan was just that for Maddie to be in there. And we know that he searched like drunk girls, passed out prawn, and like, I don't want to misspeak. I think it was just passed out, or I can't remember the wording, but yeah, weird shit. That's just weird shit. So was he planning on doing something sexual but didn't? You know what I mean? I don't know. I know that the crime itself of the stabbing can be, that kind of arousement for someone like him, but was there actual, like if he was a virgin, right? Like they have this big theory about him still being a virgin, like Elliot Rodger. So would he also want to lose? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. It's gross as hell, but I don't know.
In any case, in any situation. I mean, you know what I mean? They're all just waiting to pounce. So I think it's better to just.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was, B. Thank you. Gagged girls prawn.
Not pick those battles sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, some battles are, easier to let go than others, for sure, right? Like the demolition of the house. That was a hard battle to let go of. But, the books or, the YouTubers or the TikTokers, and a lot of them are very, positive. But, those are little battles. They piss me off for a minute, but I think that I just realized, like, does this individual have, a life that I, envy or aspire for? And if that answer was no, then I try not to concern myself with, the content being spewed out there. Easier said than done. I mean, clearly.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes. What about the sentencing? Like, I know you're getting ready for it. Like, where are you? Where are you at in that process?
So my husband had to have a heart-to-heart with me because I was really conflicted. And I'll explain, kind of what I'm conflicted about, right? So originally, the victim impact statements would have been made after a jury had come to a decision on guilt, but before the sentencing. In that scenario, my victim impact statement would be directed towards the jury and the decision that they had ahead of them for the sentencing. So that's for me, a very pointed goal. I can come up with something like that. That would also be after a trial had occurred. We had seen the evidence, the exhibits, the arguments, So we would, be, armed with that knowledge, right? The secondary, reality that could have existed here is a plea deal was made, but the sentencing wasn't made, and the sentencing would be made by the judge. So I would be able to make a pointed, statement.
Yeah, this part I completely like tried to put myself in her shoes and be like, yeah, who am I exactly giving this statement to? Hitler, who doesn't want to be there in the first place, which he made clear in the very first statement. I don't really want to give a statement to him. I'm not giving a statement to a jury. Why do I want to give a statement to Brian Kohberger? It's crazy.
Towards the judge who had a decision to make. But that also didn't occur because the sentencing was tied into the plea deal and will not be argued for a lesser sentence. So, there's a little bit of a existential crisis that exists that's like, well, then what the hell am I even doing? Right? It's not going to make a difference as far as sentencing goes. I feel like I can cry for 1,000 years and still never be able to truly articulate the impact that this loss has had on not just me, but my husband, my children. I could probably go on for the rest of my life and still have more to say. So I kind of had to switch gears because the purpose for me isn't so pointed, right? It's a little vague. And I started writing, like 3 different types of speeches. One was almost like a funeral speech, like, an ode to Kaylee and Maddie. And then one was more so directed towards, like that raw heartbreak of, speaking to them throughout this whole process and, giving them in some semblance a goodbye of like a close to this chapter. And then the third type of speech that I was writing was directed at the defendant himself. And I mean, that's what I eventually went with. So my speech isn't about the process, the court, the lawyers, the judge, it's not even really about Kaylee or Maddie because Kaylee and Maddie know they've been with me every single step of the way, and I refuse to get up there and further re-victimize myself over and over and over for a defendant who does not give a damn. No amount of tears, no amount of, tear jerkers, hearts, nothing is ever going to make him feel anything at best. And at worst, he enjoys it. And I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah, he hasn't really shown any even small sign of emotion.
None.
So
truly, I don't think
yeah.
I don't think he's capable of empathy, of compassion, of, I don't think he's capable of love. I truly, truly believe that. So me professing my love for my sisters isn't going to do shit. It's just not. I get it.
Is your dad, do you know if your dad's going to go? Because I remember he was saying that he wasn't thinking of it. He wasn't planning on, I think he was emotional after the plea deal.
We all have a diva moment here or there. Okay. And I won't even, I'm joking. I'm not calling it a diva moment. Yes. So we will be attending. Right now, I know for sure myself, my mom, and my dad are going to be making speeches. I think my brother is as well. There's other members of our family who definitely wanted to, but they were not statutory victims of the crime. So they were not able to. So we were bound by parents, step-parents, siblings, and grandparents.
Oh, so you like a best
You hear
friend or
this?
something?
No friends, no close friends of the family, no aunts, no uncles are permitted to give victim impact statements. This is wild. Listen to this next story. Listen to this part. You guys are going to be appalled.
Someone like that can't.
Nope. Not even like in lieu of. So, my two younger sisters don't want to go on to the stand, and I don't blame them at all. I support that. I support whatever they want to do, not that I support that specifically. And so we asked if my aunt could in lieu of that, and we were told no because she wasn't a statutory victim.
I guess to me, it just seems like, why not? Like, if he's already pled guilty and this is finally the family's chance to have their moment after all this time, like, what's the downside?
Yeah. Yeah, we've definitely had feelings like that. But you pick your battles.
Yeah.
That's a battle we've lost. We can always come back to it later, but we're not going to change their minds by kicking and screaming.
Right.
And we don't have anything else but kicking and screaming right now.
In terms of the like Dylan and the surviving roommates, do you stay in touch with them at all, or?
No, so I've actually only reached out to them one time in my whole life, and it was because.
So you know what's messed up about that is that Xana's aunt basically raised her. Xana and Jasmine lived with their aunt, Jeffrey Kernodle's sister. So you mean to tell me that a woman that helped raise Xana can't speak because she's not a parent or a sibling or a grandparent? I mean, that's messed up. And that was the aunt that was at the plea that crossed the road with the Gonsalves family.
Because I knew that they were roommates. So it was literally on November 13th as everything was unfolding. And I messaged them on Instagram and I said, hey, we can't get a hold of Kaylee. Like, I'm sure her phone is just dead. Can you have her call us? Neither of those messages were replied to. I've never reached out again. They've never reached out to me as far as I know. And it is what it is. They don't owe me anything. I didn't know them personally. So yeah, it is what it is. They're not guilty of anything. They're not on trial here. They don't owe me.
Do you think it's weird that Dylan nor Bethany have reached out to Kaylee's sister? I thought about that last night and I was like, part of me is like, okay, if you're traumatized, like maybe you don't want to, but here we are, like this long later. Were they not able to speak to the Gonsalves? Like what? Why? It's kind of weird, right?
It is what it is. They're not guilty of anything. They're not on trial here. They don't owe me even a conversation. So I wish them well and I will always, defend them and I will always support them. And
I think it's weird that they didn't tell them what they saw and heard. I think it's weird. Maybe because of the gag order. Oh, the gag order. They couldn't.
And, I think that's what Kaylee and Maddie would want. And that's that.
That's true.
Yeah, I was thinking about them more at the last hearing, and I always think about you guys and the other parents, but sometimes I forget about how I'm sure it's not easy for them too.
Right. Yeah,
I wonder if
I think that the level of like trauma and PTSD that has to exist because of something like that is enormous. And I wouldn't wish it on, well, most of my enemies. but they've had to weather a storm and walk through their grief silently and take every last bit on the chin, be prepared to, take the stand, to be brutalized on the stand, to have their texts nitpicked and their actions questioned, and have their, own typos used against them. And the last thing I ever want to do is add to that grief or burden. It's just not the right thing to do.
Yeah. And just one of my last questions, I was wondering, you've been such a fighter, you and your dad and your mom too, but just through this whole process, every step of the way, trying to advocate for Kaylee, trying to push the prosecution to do what you guys felt was right. I mean, every step of the way, even the beginning, pushing the police, it's just been fight, fight, fight. I'm just wondering, do you think you've had a chance personally to grieve or to really have you processed it all yet? I mean, do you think you've accepted that Kaylee's gone, or do you think that that's going to come after this all sort of dies down?
Yeah. So I think specifically for my dad and I in the family, we're still waiting for that other shoe to drop. And I think it's because we had mentally prepared for this trial. So it's kind of like block it out, block it out, block it out, block it out. We have a war ahead of us. Like, we're going to get through this war because I don't have time to take off right now. I don't have time to let off the gas right now. Like, we're doing this. So when, and my dad and I had just sort of started talking together about what life looks like after trial and how, we're both going to struggle with that new normal. Because when I mean every single day, my life has revolved around this, I mean it. And my dad too. Even when you're not thinking about it, you're thinking about it. And so to have that rug pulled when we were just starting to accept that, hey, we might have to, we might have to face that music soon. And it was a good right step to start walking in that direction, to immediately, orchestra right in front of you. It's definitely thrown me and my dad into a little bit more of a back to that immediate shock right after it happened. And yeah, I'm not there. And I thought I'd be there after the trial, after, the sentencing, after this and that. And I don't know when I will be now. And I don't know, when my dad will be now. And it's a little scary to not
I don't
know
know, Jacqueline.
what your grief looks like day to day to day when you thought that you had it kind of checked in a little bit. I remember that first year after, I was, pretty gentle with myself. I didn't know what might be triggering, what might not.
Good night, Trip.
How much downtime I might need.
Thanks for joining in.
Trying to just be gentle with myself. Because sometimes you're so taken aback by the things that hit you the most. And it's unexpected and it's scary to not have control of your emotions like that, at least for someone like me or for someone like my dad. We don't really wear our hearts on the sleeve, publicly, at least. With family, of course, it's different, but and I kind of feel like I'm back to those early days again, where it's like, am I going to be okay? Is this going to be a slow progression for me? Or is it going to be all together, all at once? One day I'm okay, and the next day I'm not. Is it going to be once it's unsealed? Is it going to be after we sit down with prosecutors and get, told the story? Is it going to be after we get this or that? Or is it going to be when my daughter turns 3? And for whatever reason, that's the day. So yeah, definitely have not fully been living in the reality of Kaylee and Maddie being gone. And I excused
We're
it
going to talk about Elliot Rodger in a
by
second.
saying that, you know, I was doing
Good night, Auntie
the brave
Cheryl.
thing and toughening myself up for trial. But truly, I think it was just a way to live in that denial for a
This
little
is almost
longer.
over.
And then to not have that option anymore feels really raw. And I imagine my dad, you know, I don't want to speak for him, but he probably feels similar in a lot of ways. You know, maybe different in some. I think that his grief and his emotions in general manifest a little more as like anger. I think that that's his defense mechanism. Where I think mine is more, you know, avoidance, no contact, kind of, you know, switched on the emotions. But yeah, I think that all of the families still have,
Good night,
you know,
Hannah.
maybe a ways to go. Some,
Thanks for listening.
of course, us, maybe more than others. Maybe that just is because we're not very well-rounded, or, you know, because we lived in that denial for so long. I don't really know, but
I'll feel better, Marcy.
yeah, I don't really know if I answered your question either.
No, you did. I think you've just been so focused on the fight.
Yeah.
I
And
agree,
I
Ashley.
think my dad and I buried our heads in the sand a little bit to the emotional side of it by just digging as deep as we could into,
I'm going to show you guys
you know,
something
the
that maybe
legal
you don't,
side of it. And
you don't know or haven't seen.
you know, I guess it is what it is. You know, we will have to face this, and you know, we'll do it. We'll do it together. We'll do it with our family. Yeah, I have a long way to go, for sure.
You mentioned getting the full
He
story
really
from the
is, Pickle.
prosecution after the sentencing. I
This
mean,
would
do you
never,
want
I
to
mean,
sit
this
down?
is like a 55-minute interview, 50-minute interview, basically. You would never see mainstream get this, be this compassionate. I mean, he has true empathy. He really does.
With them and hear everything they know?
Enton's a gem.
Yeah, I think that that's, you know, something that we've been told from the very, very, very beginning before an arrest was even made. You know, we'll sit down at the end of this and, you know, we'll be able to talk candidly and say XYZ, blah, 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 blah. So I think that that's something that we are obviously very eager for, to the point where if the gag order is lifted on the 17th tomorrow, I've already reset a meeting that I said is cancelable if it doesn't happen.
Oh, this was recorded before the plea. Or no, the gag order. He just published this a day ago. I'm confused.
Because, yeah, I think it's important. I think that, you know, a lot of cases are based off of circumstantial evidence, and that doesn't make them bad or weak cases. This particular situation had, I don't know, physical evidence with the DNA being left at the scene. But I know there is so much circumstantial evidence that exists that didn't make its way to the, you know, to the public docs. And it just goes back to that, you know, almost like that grief where it's like, I don't know exactly what's going to hit me the hardest, right? Sometimes I'm totally fine. And, you know, when Kaylee's death certificate came in, you know, I, you know, trudged through, you know, I was okay. Like, obviously you have emotions around it, but I was able to put those to the side. But when that PCA came out, I was down for days. And obviously you don't expect that. That should have been, oh my gosh, there's a solid case here. They have someone in custody, you know, he's being extradited. And I feel that way about the evidence, and I feel so strongly about it in making my victim impact statement because I feel almost cheated in a way to not have this information, because I'm like, you're setting me up to have so many regrets. Because right now I think that, you know, this piece of the information really, really hurt me. Like the fact that he also bought a sharpener, right? And that to some people isn't anything, right? And I understand that. But to me, that shit hurts my soul, right? So it's like, how many other little things like that exist that can help give me a more complete view of my impact that I can then articulate into words? Because I've had so many regrets this whole process, right? I mean, so many. But I didn't want to do it this time. I didn't want to have regrets, and I didn't want to, feel like I left any cards behind. I'm not holding any punches here. Uh, so it's hard to do that when, I don't even have a full hand that I'm playing with. Like, you guys are playing poker and I'm playing Uno. I'm going to do my best, but I damn well know when it all comes out and when I hear it, it's going to be the smallest damn thing that I'm like, I wish I would have confronted him with that. But we've tried. We're still trying. I won't give up until there's no other option. But it's not looking good.
Well, I mean, you got to remember too, like, it's not just about the judge releasing all of the documents. The frickin' prosecutor knows all of this. Exactly, Ashley. I'm like, what the fuck?
It's not looking like we're going to have any more information.
But I guess they did meet with them today. I heard briefly. I don't know much about it. If you guys know more, let me know. But they don't even know how many times she was stabbed. How do you, I mean, what, the death is just supposed to be the impact?
Than we do right now.
Yeah, I guess I always thought about the gag order with like in terms of the press getting information, but I sort of forgot that it's also the
Mute.
it's
I'm
also
not
the way that
muted.
you guys can find out the details too, because the gag order has also applied to you.
Yes. So we aren't covered by the gag order, but the people who know the information are covered by the gag order from talking to us, even.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard bits and pieces, right? People come to us and say, this, that, blah, 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 blah. And of course, we're appreciative for that. They help put a bigger view, but you can't trust that information all the time. Because sometimes it's false, and it's not someone's fault that it's false. But it would just be nice to walk in just so confident, just so knowledged, and be able to feel like in that moment, what I'm saying right now, what I'm doing right now is the very, very best that I have to offer. No excuses, no, oh, well, I wish this or I wish that, I love to make excuses for myself. So to be able to like remove that option to just be like, no, like you're gonna write, sit down and you're gonna write this. And this is.
She could actually do like TED Talks, like she's a very good speaker.
The best that you can give.
I think that she could do big things, to be honest.
No, well, if I'd had that or period. Would have been nice. And the dream's not dead, but she's on life support.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me, Olivia. I mean,
I'm playing
I know
all
it's
the
not
way
easy
to
to
the
talk
end because I want you to hear what she says to him.
about, and I'm honored that you were so open with your emotions and just everything that you and your family have been through. And I'll see you at the sentencing, and it's been a privilege to get to know you and your dad and your mom, because you, like I said, you really are incredible people. I mean, you really are like just amazing.
Thanks, Brian. No, there's a few, people that I've really, really, really kind of grown, inclined to, and you're definitely one of them. So thanks for, just kind of talking candidly with me and, letting it be less, rapid fire, a little less canned and a little more, authentic to who I am and even, a little convoluted and jumbled at times. But you're one of the good guys.
Oh, thanks.
I like that. You're one of the good guys. He is. He really did a nice job with that. Is SS still here? I wanted him to see this. I don't know if he's still here or not. But, okay, so tomorrow, before we move on to this real quick, I want to say that for the impact statements, there's no limit. There's no time limit. I think Olivia is going to be so amazing tomorrow. I really do. So it could actually go into the next day, which is pretty wild. I don't know if it will, but it just depends how long it takes. They don't have any time limits. Thanks, Dina. Okay, so this was from, let's go through this really quick. This is from January of 2023. You gotta love the Daily Mail and all their ads. But we were talking about Elliot Rogers, right? And there was a girl that rejected Elliot Rogers, and she was a sorority girl. Her name was Maddie. But let's read about this former cheerleader who rejected Brian Kohberger in the 6th grade. For those of you that think he got play, I don't think he did. I think he wanted a certain type of girl and he just couldn't get her. I don't think he settled for anyone else. That's just my thoughts. It says, and look at her. Allow me to introduce you to Kim Kennelly, 27. She contacted the FBI after learning about Kohberger's arrest. So she saw Kohberger was arrested and hit them up. It says FBI agents have interviewed Brian Kohberger's middle school crush in hopes of piecing together the psyche of the man they believe is responsible for the gruesome murders of 4 Idaho students. Kim Kennelly, 27, contacted the Bureau shortly after learning her former classmate had been arrested for allegedly knifing 4 housemates to death. The 2 were 6th grade students at Pleasant Valley Intermediate School in Broadheadsville, Pennsylvania, when Kohberger, 28, developed a crush and began romantically pursuing the girl who would go on to be a high school cheerleader. She told the FBI, so this girl's mom talked. She told the FBI whatever she could tell them. Kennelly's mother, Sandra, confirmed to Daily Mail. It was so long ago, I couldn't imagine what she had to tell the FBI. I guess it was for character purposes. Look. Does she kind of remind you of Maddie a little bit? Maddie or Kaylee? This is their yearbook pictures. This is her now. Daily Mail freaking following her around and shit. Kohberger, then a chubby, awkward misfit, would become relentless in his pursuit, repeatedly leaving love letters in her locker and telling her he liked her. He would always say, "Oh, Kim, I think you're very pretty," just like weird comments, and she'd say, "Oh, God, leave me alone." She did not give him the time of day, the mom noted. When kids are little, they're mean. They don't say, oh my God, thank you, but no. Keanly would eventually tell Kohberger to buzz off, breaking his heart. At the time, she lived in Scioscia in rural eastern Pennsylvania, 90 minutes north of Philadelphia, a 30-minute drive from Kohberger's home in Albrightsville. She has since left the area and lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, where she works as an occupational therapist in an assisted living facility. So literally, Kohberger went from this fat picture of him, and the next year came back to school like this. Oh, hey, Kelly. Kelly Green. Keanly's awkward schoolyard encounters with Kohberger are among several bizarre accounts to emerge from former friends and witnesses in recent days that paint the picture of a troubled, disgruntled young man who didn't fit in at school. Former classmates have revealed Kohberger was heavy-set and the subject of bullying and cruel taunts in middle school. The whole clique of popular girls made fun of him in school. They were the cheerleaders and the ones that every kid had crushes on. They literally tortured him. Girls started making fun of him in middle school. But Kohberger seemed to turn his life around in high school, where he took up boxing and lost weight. He was a totally different person. He worked out constantly and was super aggressive, the male friend said. He had a short fuse and was constantly trying to change his style and personality to fit in with the cliques. A third former classmate added, "It's interesting to me that the girls he's accused of killing were nice looking and seemingly popular, much like the ones that made fun of him throughout his childhood." This is her. This is the girl that he had a thing for. She looks more like Kaylee to me than Maddie. Yeah, that's when he got on drugs. And then I also read that he finished high school online. May, me too. My daughter is not afraid to say when she's creeped out. You know what I mean? Do you think she looks like Kaylee, Maddie, both? It's pretty wild. You know, and I forgot about this until just tonight. I found this a long time ago, but... Oh, here's more. She's tiny like Maddie. Oh, then here's the Tinder date, and then the other friend that drove him to get heroin or whatever. But yeah, that's it about the girl. It's pretty wild. Hey, Callie. You think Kaylee? Yeah. I don't know, man. This girl really looks like Kaylee. Like the boobs. Maddie wasn't big boobed and she was real petite. This girl's not that. I mean, she's small, but well, I think this other pic was candid of her. Like, right? She's literally in scrubs. And the Daily Mail is following her, taking a picture. no makeup, you know what I mean? But that's her in high school. Let's see. That's when he would have, had eyes on her, was in high school. Hey, Brendan. Good morning. Birthing hips girl, yeah. So anyway, yeah, she spoke with the FBI. Isn't that crazy? I'd be curious to see her interview, but see, we won't because, it's the FBI talking to these people. The FBI did their whole, I'm telling you, because this was like over state lines, hear me out. I think the FBI's investigation was the most extensive because we have Pennsylvania, we have Washington State where he lived, and then we have Idaho, right? So we have Idaho processing the crime scene. We have the FBI putting it all together as more of a complete investigation. So how much of that was turned over? I don't know. I guess we'll see. Good morning, Potato. Well, it's been a really fun stream. I really am glad that we got to talk this through before sentencing tomorrow. I am going to try to get some shut-eye. I'll be live. I think my time might be off, but I'm going to get you guys in the Cooter DeVille and send you over to my other channel and the event that's set up for that. So just click the notify me. It'll let you know 30 minutes before. It didn't become federal. It's not a federal case, but the FBI investigated. Like, they didn't even know Kohberger's name until the FBI got his name. But yeah, I will see you guys in the morning for sentencing. And we'll see what happens. All right, you guys, let's get in the Cooter DeVille. Like we always do.
A Cooter DeVille.
I know. That's why I'm saying like the Elliot Rodger thing, but all right, we'll chat more tomorrow. I'll see you guys in the morning. Everybody sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Put your tinfoil hats in the bin. And you're being driven over to J is for Justice for tomorrow's stream. I'll see you guys in the morning. Thanks, guys. Bye.